In a joyous and peaceful kingdom, people gather to witness one of the most majestic moments. Marie, dressed in a wedding gown, walks up the stairs toward Kiros. They are about to be married, but truthfully, Marie was never meant to be the bride. It was supposed to be her older sister. Baron Sheridan has two daughters. The eldest, Anastasia, is cheerful, sociable, and golden-haired. She looks like a princess. In contrast, Marie, the younger daughter, is nothing like her sister. She is tall, often dirty, and acts more like a boy. She spends her days reading books and serving her family like a maid. Each morning, Marie wakes up in a small, dim hut where she lives alone. It's a place far from suitable for a lady. Because their family is poor, there's always work to be done. Marie can only afford a quick bath at the well near her hut before heading to the family's house to cook for them. After cooking and preparing the meals, her parents, along with Anastasia and their youngest brother Cedric, sit together at the well-lit dining table to eat their food. She, however, is left to eat the scraps alone in the dark, dirty kitchen, treated like an outcast in her own family. Even her father's work is passed on to her. At night, Marie balances the family's accounts and signs documents in his name, relying only on a dim lamp for light as the night grows dark. When she finally finishes, she takes a bath at the well and glances up the night sky. Tomorrow is her birthday, and all she wishes for is a good day. The following day, the Sheridan family hosts a grand banquet at their home. Nobles and royals fill the hall, and music plays with celebration. Anastasia looks stunning in her elegant gown, and Cedric compliments her beauty. Marie, standing off to the side in a plain, long dress and her unkempt hair, can only watch in silence. Suddenly, their father stands up to speak. He thanks everyone for coming and announces that Anastasia is the star of the night. At that moment, Marie looks down. Of course, this isn't a birthday celebration for her. It's a debut party meant to find Anastasia a suitor. Upset, Marie runs out of the hall, drawing everyone's attention. She walks quickly through the corridors until she reaches the garden. Sitting by the pond, she stares at her reflection in the water, feeling miserable for being born with such an unattractive face. Suddenly, a man's voice breaks the silence as he asks for directions. Marie quickly points toward the entrance. He mistakes her for a maid, but the maid accompanying him corrects him, saying the Sheridan family only employs one servant, a woman in her 60s. Realizing Marie must be one of the two daughters, the man politely asks for her forgiveness. Marie, noticing his attire, immediately recognizes he is from the Ipsandra's Republic. She even comments on the traditional formal wear he's wearing, surprising the man with her knowledge. Marie's knowledge of Ipsandrian traditions surprises him. It's rare for anyone outside his country to study their culture. But Marie insists that once someone explores Ipsandrian technology and culture, it's easy to become fascinated. Karas becomes even more intrigued and shares additional details about his formal clothing. Marie joins in, mentioning the tale of the Red Riding Cat, a famous story from Ipsandrian folklore. Their conversation flows naturally until Marie recalls her father's warning. A woman who flaunts her knowledge is shameful, so she lowers her head and apologizes for her behavior. Karas, however, doesn't understand why she's apologizing. Marie wants to explain, but before she can, she panics and tries to run. Karas gently grabs her hand to stop her, and when their eyes meet, Marie freezes. His face is flawless, and it hurts to know she could never match someone like him. Tears well up in her eyes. Karas apologizes again for mistaking her for a servant, but he can't stop thinking about her clothes. Something feels off. There must be a reason why someone like her is dressed like that. Marie simply says she is not lovely. That's why she wears such plain clothes. But before she can leave, Karas gently pulls her closer and tells her she's beautiful. As a response, she tells him where to find her sister, then quickly walks away in tears. She runs through the woods until she reaches her small house. There she finally breaks down. Even after hearing such kind words from someone like Karas, the sadness doesn't leave her. 1 month later, a letter of proposal arrives for Anastasia. It is from Count Granado, a nobleman expected to become a duke. Wealthy and well-connected, he seems like the perfect match in their father's eyes. Delighted, their father immediately tells Marie to write a formal reply and inform all relatives and nearby nobles of the engagement. In private, Anastasia confides in Marie about her unease. She's about to marry a man whose face she doesn't even remember. Worse, rumors claim Count Granado dislikes women. Marie, trying to stay positive, remarks that the letter at least sounded passionate. The mood lightens when they talk about clothes. Anastasia loves designing suits for women, and since Marie is tall, the outfits fit her well. She pulls a suit from her cabinet and makes Marie promise to keep it secret. Their parents once threw them all away after discovering her unusual interest. Marie is stunned to learn about her sister's hidden passion. If their family ever falls into poverty, she'll start a clothing business in the royal capital. She encourages Marie to do the same, nurture her talents, follow her dreams, and live for herself. Marie loves her sister deeply, and Anastasia loves her just as much. But Anastasia unexpectedly dies in a tragic accident on her way to meet Count Granado. All Marie can do now is hold onto the lessons her sister left behind. She remembers how Anastasia once written her the story of the Red Raggedy Cat, and the memory brings tears to her eyes. The book slips from her hands as a sharp slap lands on her cheek. Her mother strikes her, sending her crashing to the floor. In rage, her mother blames Marie for Anastasia's death, shouting that it should have been her instead. She lashes out uncontrollably until their father arrives. He pulls her away, not to protect Marie, but to prevent any bruises from appearing on her face. Her father wants to send Marie to Count Granado for marriage in place of Anastasia. Though she is not as attractive, the family no longer has the resources, having sold off everything for the betrothal. Her father convinces her that this is the only way she can atone, but it does not make sense. She has committed no crime, yet somehow, simply by being born, she already feels like a mistake. Marie and her father travel together to see the Count, and while in the carriage, her father reminds her of everything she needs to do, insulting her from time to time. Marie simply agrees to everything he says. She tries to fake a smile, but Ewanet gets mocked by her own father. Upon arriving at the castle, the guard refuses to let them in despite the letter they had sent. A maid steps in, explaining that the letter only arrived that morning, putting them in a difficult situation. Gregor, Marie's father, loses his temper and is about to attack the maid, but she is well equipped, pinning him to the ground in an instant and ordering him to leave. Just then, Marie steps out of the carriage, seeing the situation unfold. She asks for their forgiveness, and as she lowers her head, the veil covering her face slips off. The maid immediately recognizes her as Lady Marie and instructs Thomas, the guard, to send a message to the Count. Introducing herself as Mio, the maid leads Marie inside. Upon hearing that Anastasia's younger sister has been sent in her place, the Count becomes furious and initially demands Marie be turned away. But the moment he sees her face and recognizes her, his demeanor shifts. Marie is stunned to realize that the man she met at the banquet is actually Count Carlos Granado. Kiros, equally speechless, takes a long look at her. Gregor steps forward to explain Anastasia's death. Though Kiros appears saddened, his attention now lingers on Marie. As Gregor tries to speak ill of her, Kiros gives him a cold, warning glance. With a new calmness, he declares that Marie will stay at the palace for the night. Without delay, Mio prepares a room for her. Marie is left alone to enjoy a meal, with Mio attending to her. Curious about her father's whereabouts, she is informed that he is currently in a meeting with Kiros. As they chat, Mio prepares tea, which Marie quickly recognizes as a traditional blend from Ipsandros. She even names the correct spices, impressing Mio with her knowledge. One sip and Marie is immediately taken aback by the depth of its flavor, leaving Mio overwhelmed by her genuine appreciation. Their quiet conversation is soon interrupted when Kiros knocks at the door. Marie rushes to him, quickly bowing to apologize for her father's earlier conduct. When she asked about him, Kiros explains that her father has already departed, taking the betrothal gifts with him, to offer them at Anastasia's grave. Marie prepares to excuse herself, but Kiros stops her. He gently asks if she is being mistreated at home. The question stuns Marie. Though her parents never showed her affection, she doesn't see it as abuse. In her eyes, their harshness is simply training. Because she is a know-nothing, they want her to learn how to survive. However, her explanation does not make sense to Kiros. Thinking back to the banquet, he recalls that she was wearing clothing typically reserved for widows or nuns, on her birthday, no less. To him, this further confirms his suspicion that Marie is being mistreated. She never intended to become a nun, nor was she trying to push men away. When Kiros asks if she's unhappy with her family, Marie cannot respond. It's true that the life she's living is far from what she wants, but she has never considered escaping. She simply believes she is not lovely enough to deserve better. With that, Kiros gives Mio a command to take Marie away. Marie assumes this means she's being dismissed because of her appearance. But to her surprise, Mio greets her warmly, already prepared with a bath and fresh clothes. She escorts Marie to the bathhouse, where a large private tub awaits her. Marie is stunned, wondering how much work it takes to maintain such a luxurious space. She assumes she's been brought there to clean, but instead, Trunica, the bath's caretaker, arrives to pamper her. Mio informs Marie of Trunica's expertise in bathing rituals, and before she even realizes it, Trunica has already stripped her of her clothes. Mio even adds that if Trunica displeases her, she's free to slap her. Marie proceeds with the bath, submerging herself in warm water filled with flower petals while Trunica carefully tends to her hair. Trunica confidently assures that she will have Marie sparkling clean in no time, as if she's being reborn. Before long, Marie dozes off in the comfort of the bath. That night, once the beautification process is complete, Kiros waits for Marie to appear. When she finally steps out, she is nearly unrecognizable. As she walks down the grand staircase toward him, Kiros can't take his eyes off her transformation. Even Marie, catching a glimpse of her reflection, can hardly believe the woman in the mirror is her. Kiros freezes for a moment before calling out to Liu Liu, his mother. She steps forward and examines Marie carefully from head to toe. As the head of the family, Lulu's approval is crucial for the betrothal to proceed. The engagement depends heavily on her decision. After a meticulous inspection, Lulu comments that something is lacking. Kairos is ready to defend Marie when Lulu finishes her thought. What Marie lacks is self-confidence. If she wishes to become the wife of a duke, she must learn to carry herself with pride and nobility. But Lulu adds, she can at least begin practicing before the wedding. Hearing this, Kairos is visibly relieved and overjoyed. Mio also congratulates Marie, who remains confused. Only then does she learn that Lulu's approval means the engagement is now official. Cheers fill the room as everyone celebrates their engagement. Lulu expresses excitement for the upcoming wedding, but Marie still stands frozen in place. Then finally, unable to hold it in any longer, Marie lets out a loud scream. She can't do it. One look at Marie and Kairos is speechless. It truly feels as if she's been reborn. While gazing at the stars and sipping his wine, Kairos can't help but recall how lovely she is. But Mieva soon pulls him back to reality. Marie has just rejected his marriage proposal. The memory hits like a blow and Kairos slumps onto the table in tears, unwilling to hear it again. Yet Mia reminds him it's her duty to deliver the truth, and adds that he proposed to the wrong sister that night. It's true, that evening was Marie's birthday, so no one would have guessed that the girl quietly sitting in the dark was the celebrant herself. Kairos' father, Count Alfred Granado, had 2 wives. As children, Kairos and another girl shared stories while voices echoed down the halls. The arguments came from the Count's wives. His official wife was Lady Laura, a noble daughter, while his concubine was Liu, an Ipsandrian traveler. She was Kairos' mother. One day, while chasing butterflies in the garden, young Kairos tripped and fell to his knees. He cried loudly until Lady Laura approached, offering him a piece of sweet pastry. With just one bite, Kairos brightened. Laura admitted she baked it herself. She teased him for trusting her so easily, but Kairos was too taken by the flavor to worry. When she asked what other sweets he liked, he eagerly listed his favorites. Laura, too, confessed her fondness for sweets, saying that making them helped her forget unpleasant things. Before leaving, she promised to bake chocolate cookies for him next time, and Kairos, with innocent joy, looked forward to it. One night in the palace, Count Alfred Granado summoned Liu and Kairos for a private meeting. Despite Lady Laura being his official wife, all of her children were daughters. That meant only Kairos, the son of his concubine Liu, could inherit the dukedom. Liu and Kairos were both stunned by the declaration, but the one most shaken was Lady Laura, who had been quietly eavesdropping outside the door. Then, one sorrowful night, a scream of grief echoed throughout the castle. Kairos rushed toward the sound, only to find all his sisters gathered around Lady Laura, who lay lifeless on the floor, a half-eaten cookie still in her hand. Beside the basket of sweets was a small vial of poison. The sight stunned Kairos. The woman who had shown him such kindness had chosen death of her own will. In the aftermath, Liu was offered the title of the official wife, but she refused. She chose to leave the duke, taking Kairos with her. Over the years, Kairos earned the title of count through his own merit. Yet he held no fondness for noble society. He avoided high-class gatherings, dismissed marriage proposals from noble daughters, and tore up any invitations that bore the names of old families. At last, Kairos made a rare appearance at one of the noble parties. Louis-Philippe, his friend, teased him for finally showing up, though Kairos reminded him that he only came because Louis-Philippe had personally invited him. As they chatted, Louis-Philippe casually handed him an invitation, this one from a rural baron. Apparently, the baron had sent one to every bachelor among the noble houses. The Shatterin family's financial struggles were well known. It was obvious to everyone that the so-called birthday celebration was merely a facade to showcase the baron's daughter for potential marriage. Kairos found the gesture distasteful, but still rumors claimed the baron's daughter was a rare beauty. Louis-Philippe, already engaged, had no plans of going. Kairos, however, though free to attend, chose not to. As he mulled it over, a blonde woman approached with a plate of sweets. He accepted one, and she quickly turned shy and retreated. Kairos knew he was a favorite among the ladies, but only because of his title and fortune. Beneath that, he knew that these ladies despised their heritage. Most noble daughters saw Ipsandros as a land of barbarians, and the whispers echoing through the grand halls only confirmed that. Though Louis-Philippe sympathized with him, he also reminded Kairos that he couldn't remain a bachelor forever. Without a wife, there would be no one to continue the duke's line. As Louis-Philippe departed, he remarked that he was eager to see the kind of woman who could finally move Kairos' heart, but Kairos doubted such a woman even existed. Still, Louis-Philippe's words lingered. Glancing at the invitation on the table once more, Kairos began to reconsider. Perhaps the daughter of a struggling household might be the practical answer. If it were to be a marriage of convenience, then he might as well choose someone easy to manage. Kairos had never believed he'd find love until that night. Marie's fascination with Ipsandrian culture had disarmed him completely. He had fallen for her, yet somehow he let her slip away. At the gathering, he spotted Baron Shatterin happily entertaining fellow noblemen. When Kairos inquired about the Baron's daughter, he was directed toward a blonde girl, the celebrated star of the night. The Baron had 2 daughters, he was told, the elder, Anastasia, and the younger, Marie. But tonight was Marie's birthday. If this girl in front of him was the center of attention, then the quiet girl he'd spoken with must have been Anastasia. With this, he rushed through the estate, searching every corridor, every garden, but no matter how far or fast he ran, she was nowhere to be found. With that, Kairos penned a formal letter requesting the hand of Baron Shadowrun's elder daughter, Anastasia. When he received a reply, he spared no expense preparing for her arrival. Jewels, dresses, maids, even a body pillow to cradle in his restless nights. He was eager, almost desperate, to offer his fiancée the best life. But then tragedy struck. News came that her carriage had fallen. His heart shattered. That's when the truth surfaced. The woman he met before, the one he mistook for Anastasia, was actually Marie, the younger daughter. Now back in the present, Mio is still trying to shake Kairos from his melancholy. He winces. He'd rather not hear it said aloud. But Mio doesn't let up. She reminds him how he turned his back on Marie when she arrived in her transformed appearance. Worse, on her very first day at the castle, he ordered her sent away. To Marie, Kairos must have seemed disgusted. No wonder she believes he wants nothing to do with her. Kairos hopes that clearing up the misunderstanding will help mend things, and Mio agrees. After all, he's the only one in love here. Together, they head to Marie's quarters, hoping to see her smile this time. Inside her room, Marie stares at her reflection, still stunned that her once tattered clothes and messy hair have transformed her into someone nearly unrecognizable overnight. Her thoughts scatter as a knock sounds at the door. When Mio and Kairos enter, Marie immediately lowers her head in apology. She admits she panicked at the sudden proposal and acted improperly, but Kairos can't understand why she feels the need to apologize. He firmly tells her to stop bowing. When she lifts her face, Kairos sees her clearly and blushes. Mio discreetly steps on his foot to snap him out of it. With a composed breath, Kairos addresses the misunderstanding. He assures Marie that he doesn't hate her, not at all. In fact, he believes she had come to the castle of her own will. Regardless of the confusion and the way things began, his feelings are sincere. He wants her to be his wife. To Kairos' surprise, Marie changes her answer immediately. She explains that the only reason she refused earlier was because she was shocked, so overwhelmed that she couldn't respond properly. She never intended to reject him and, in truth, understood the situation from the start. Marie is well aware of how these things work. She knows Kairos must find a noble woman to marry, and she assumes it must have been difficult. In her mind, the marriage was always one of convenience, and Kairos must have fallen for the beautiful Anastasia. But now, due to the accident, the burden falls on her instead. Marie, the useless younger sister. She accepts her place and even goes so far as to tell Kairos to treat her however he wishes. Kairos is stunned by her self-deprecation and tries to explain. While it's true that he originally sought a political match, his feelings changed. The letter he sent, though addressed to Anastasia, was written with sincerity. Marie nods, saying his feelings for Anastasia were clear, but that's exactly what led her to misunderstand everything. Kairos wants to explain further, but the bell rings, signaling that it's time for dinner, cutting their conversation short. At that exact moment, Marie's stomach lets out a loud rumble, breaking the tension. At the dining table, Marie takes one bite and is instantly surprised by the taste. The food is nothing like the humble meals she's used to. But before she can comment, Kairos sets down his utensils. He can't wait any longer and explains that the letter he sent wasn't addressed to Anastasia by intent. He simply had the names confused. The one he wanted to marry was Marie, the girl he met in the garden that night. Marie tries to respond politely, but Kairos can see that she doesn't believe him. She thinks he's just being careful not to hurt her feelings, and it frustrates him. Deep inside, Marie believes Kairos is only marrying her out of convenience. Sooner or later, she assumes he'll take a concubine, and she'll return to the same life she had before. Still, she doesn't mind. She's lived that way before. She can live it again. As they sit for tea, Kairos gently confesses that he loves her. Marie finds the notion absurd and remains silent. Her lack of response unsettles him, but he presses on. Regardless of how she feels now, their engagement will proceed. The ceremony is set in 3 months, and he promises to handle everything. Before Kairos can leave, Marie voices her wish to return home one last time before the betrothal. She explains that her father only expects her to serve as Kairos' comfort for a night and be cast aside after, not truly believing the engagement will push through. Marie wants to go home to hear whatever final instructions her family may have for her. This only frustrates Kairos further, so he tells her he'll need time to consider it. Not long after, Mio arrives with news. Marie is forbidden from returning home. If any member of her family wishes to visit, they must first seek Kairos' permission. Then Mio gently asks the question she's long held back. Why does Marie believe she is ugly? After a pause, Marie recalls how her parents always made sure she saw her tattered and raggedy reflection in the mirror. Sympathizing with her, Mio takes Marie's hands and urges her to face the mirror and see her true self. That night, alone in her room, Marie gazes at her reflection and recalls Mio's words. But deep down, she believes the real her is not someone she has ever truly seen. She sits at the edge of the bed, and her expression instantly changes as she sinks into its soft, luxurious fluff. Lying down, she stares at the ceiling with quiet wonder. Everything feels unreal: the palace, the fine clothes, the lady attendants, and the handsome count to whom she is now promised. It feels like a fleeting dream, one she fears will vanish the moment she wakes up. She tries to close her eyes, but the Count's words earlier do not let her sleep. Even if it is all just a dream, she wishes it would last a little longer. When morning comes, she instinctively prepares herself for her duties: light the stove, wake the household, begin the chores. But the glittering light greets her instead. Thinking she is still in a dream, she closes her eyes once more until Mio's voice calling from outside reminds her of reality. Mio enters Marie's room with two lady attendants. As the women bow to greet her, Marie instinctively bows even lower. Mio gently reminds her to be at ease. Now that she is officially the Count's fiancée, they will attend to her daily needs. Alongside Mio are Hannah and Lisa, who are ready to serve her from this day forward. Hannah and Lisa step forward to introduce themselves to Marie, while Mio explains that they will accompany her when Mio is unavailable. The situation still feels surreal to Marie. Having two attendants at her side is far beyond anything she's used to. Still, she grips the fabric of her skirt and bows gently to express her gratitude. The two attendants glance at each other, as if silently evaluating her behavior. Despite this, Marie softly asks where they are from. They explain that they both hail from the royal capital, having served within the palace and were recommended by the third prince himself. Something in their refined manner reminds Marie of her own parents. Fortunately, Mio calls her name, snapping her back to the present moment and gently asking if she's ready for breakfast. The moment Marie sits at the table, she's taken aback by the feast laid out before her. As Mio begins to explain each one, Marie quickly notices how many different kinds of animal meat are involved. They prepare in a wide variety just to see what she might prefer. Noticing her unease, Mio gently reassures her that she's free to leave anything she doesn't like and simply eat what appeals to her. With this, Marie offers to share her food with Mio, but she quickly declines, explaining that it's forbidden for attendants to eat with their master. Left with no choice, Marie begins taking a bite. To her surprise, everything tastes incredible, and before she realizes it, she's happily digging in. One by one, the plates begin to empty. Even as she starts to feel full, she continues eating. Mio gently urges her to stop if she's full, but Marie insists everything is too delicious to leave behind. Eventually, her stomach gives in, unable to take another bite. Mio quietly clears the table, and Marie can only feel sorry for the waste. Their next agenda is a tour around the palace, but before that, Mio brings Marie to a wardrobe for a change of clothes. As she opens the doors, Marie is stunned by the number of gowns and shoes inside. She jokes, saying she only has one body and could never wear them all. Mio explains that the wardrobe includes outfits for different seasons and occasions. Asked to choose one, Marie finds herself overwhelmed by the hundreds of options. In the end, Mio selects a soft yellow dress for her. As they walk, Mio shares a brief history of the estate. Granados Castle was originally built as a border to protect the kingdom. After the war, the family earned the title of Duke and now governs their own lands. While they are connected to the royal family, they are not in the line of succession. The castle now serves mostly for special functions. Their next stop is the manor house where Marie will be residing. As they pass through a door, a beautifully landscaped yard greets her. Mio explains that the manor was built by Duchess Liu Liu herself. The first floor contains the kitchen, rooms for live-in staff, and private quarters reserved for the Duchess's family and important guests. While touring the house, they come across Thomas in the hallway. Marie quickly bows and apologizes for her father's behavior during their first encounter, but Thomas waves it off. They formally introduce themselves, and Marie immediately recognizes his name. It's the same as the legendary hero who discovered Luof Island. To her surprise, Thomas confirms it, saying he actually lives on the island. Before he gets too near, however, Mio swiftly flips him aside without hesitation. She firmly warns him not to touch the Duke's fiancée, leaving Thomas apologetic. As Marie looks around the manor, she wonders if Kiros does business with countries across the world. Mio explains that he mainly conducts trade within Ipsandros. She asks this because she assumes that the various folk crafts scattered around the house belong to Kiros, but Mio clarifies they are owned by the servants, many of whom come from different regions. According to Mio, Kiros hires people regardless of their background. This is why the staff is so loyal to him. Curious, Marie assumes Mio is from the royal capital as well, but Mio reveals she was actually abandoned as a child and found by the roadside. Marie expresses regret, but Mio gently brushes it off. She insists there's no need to feel sorry. Her life has been fulfilling. Mio explains that many of the people in the manor come from diverse backgrounds, unlike Hannah and Lisa, who are accustomed to noble duties and are better suited to serve as Mari's personal attendants. Still, Mari finds herself more interested in hearing stories from different lands. She keeps this thought to herself and instead thanks Mio sincerely. That evening, Lisa brings Mari her after-dinner tea. Out of habit, Mari asks for some milk to add, but both Lisa and Hannah gently insist that it would ruin the tea's intended flavor. Though their words are polite, Mari senses the disapproval behind them. Feeling slightly uneasy, she sets her preference aside and drinks the tea as it is. Later, as she drifts to sleep, her thoughts wander to Kairos. She wonders if he's still busy. True enough, in a different land, Kairos rides in his carriage, also thinking of Mari. Just as he loses himself in thought, his coachman reminds him of tomorrow's packed schedule. With a sigh, Kairos wonders when he'll finally be able to return home. A few days pass, and Mari enjoys another hearty breakfast. As she bites into the crisp, juicy vegetables, she asks Mio where they get such fresh produce. To her surprise, Mio reveals that the vegetables are grown right in their own courtyard garden. Intrigued, Mari expresses her interest in visiting the garden. However, since Mio will be busy preparing for the Duke's return, she suggests that Mari go with Hannah and Lisa instead. Though hesitant at first, Mari sees this as a chance to get to know the two better. Later that day, Mari makes her way to the vegetable garden, where she happens to meet the gardener, Johan. Curious, she asks about his planting methods, and Johan cheerfully answers each question. Seeing her enthusiasm, he asks if she gardens too. Mari confirms she used to grow and sell vegetables back home to help her family survive. She admits, however, that tomatoes were difficult for her to grow. Impressed by Johan's success with them, she asks how he do it. With this, Johan invites her to come with him. As she starts to follow Johan, Mari hears Hannah and Lisa whispering behind her, their eyes on her steps through the bare dirt. She's certain they're ridiculing her, mocking how she behaves. Maybe she deserves it, she thinks, but Mr. Johan certainly doesn't. She hesitates, glancing down at her shoes, elegant and new, a gift from the Count. The thought of soiling them holds her back. That night, Mari lies in bed, unable to sleep. Restless, she decides to take a quiet walk around the palace. As she passes by the dining hall, she notices the lights still on. Curious, she peeks through the door and is surprised to see Kairos inside. He's just arrived, having missed dinner, and is about to eat. Spotting her, he pulls out a chair and invites her to join him. They begin a gentle conversation about her stay so far, but it's soon interrupted by Mio. Behind her is a shy figure trying to stay hidden. Tapo, the palace chef. As he nervously presents the dish, a warm chicken soup, Mari's face brightens. Kairos requests that Tapo prepare a serving for her as well. With just one bite, Mari instantly praises the soup, adding that all the meals in the palace have been incredibly delicious. To her surprise, Tapo suddenly breaks down, insisting there's no need for flattery. After all, she never finishes her food, no matter how hard he tries. Kairos asks Mio if it's true that Mari dislikes their meals, but Mio calmly replies that Mari tends to give vague answers. Flustered, Mari quickly clarifies that it's not because of the taste that she doesn't finish her food. She simply gets full and in fact feels guilty about the wasted ingredients as well. Upon hearing this, Tapo becomes even more emotional and deeply moved that she actually enjoys his cooking. Mio, unfazed, quietly announces she'll prepare tea for their after-dinner drink. Kairos reassures Mari, saying Tapo is just a little too quick to cry. Wanting to make it up to her, he decides to whip up a special dessert just for them. After a few moments, Tapo returns with the apple pie he prepared. Mari thinks that perhaps the reason he gets upset when people don't finish their food is because he assumes everyone eats like him. So she and Kairos invite him to join them. In the end, their plates are sparkling clean. Tapo ends up eating half the pie himself before happily excusing himself for the night. Left alone, Kairos gently apologizes for placing Mari in a situation where she has to prioritize others, then asks if there's anything else she finds difficult. Though Mari denies it, Kairos brings up Hannah and Lisa. Mari hesitates but insists they take good care of her. Kairos, however, sees through her words. As the future Duchess, he believes she deserves attendants who are truly suited for her. He tells her she doesn't need to pretend to be happy with things that clearly displease her. Instead, he encourages her to be honest and voice any discomfort she may feel. However, the reason Mari never expresses preferences is because she's grown used to simply accepting what's given to her. For her, that's always been enough. She doesn't want to squander the Count's kindness by asking for more. But Kairos gently promises to give her anything she wants. Those simple words break something inside her. Their quiet moment is soon interrupted by Mio, who arrives with their tea along with a very high pile of what looks like mashed potatoes. They assume it's for them, but Mio promptly takes it with her. It's her midnight snack. 2 small kettles sit stacked on a burner in front of them. Kairos explains it's called a chaden leek, used for making traditional Ipsandros tea. The fire heats both kettles. Once boiling, hot water is poured over the leaves and the pot is placed back on top. After a while, the strong tea is poured into cups and diluted with more hot water from the bottom pot, adjusted to taste. While waiting for the tea to boil, Kairos asks Mari to tell him something about herself, but she has nothing to share. Her mind feels empty, but she recalls playing word chains with her sister when they were young, and that's the only thing she can say. Kairos suggests they change the rules slightly. Instead of random words, they'll only say things they like. Kairos begins the game with the word Mari, but Mari insists they start with A, so he changes it to apple pie. With the word ending in E, Mari responds with exciting Ipsandrian stories, a phrase that catches Kira's attention. It's the same thing she said when they first met. They continue the game, taking turns naming things they like. Kairos keeps mentioning sweets, while Mari lists agricultural goods, practical and common in their economy. But when it's her turn with the letter K, she instinctively says Kairos, then quickly denies it, claiming she meant kiss. Kairos seems to see through the slip, but he lets it go with a knowing smile and continues the game, occasionally teasing her by saying her name, making Mari blush. Eventually, Mio enters and notices them still playing. Only then do they realize the flame has long died out and the tea leaves are burnt already. They try to drink it anyway, but it's unbearable. Kairos orders Mio to mask the taste with milk and sugar, but she dryly replies that the two of them already have enough sweetness, leaving both Kairos and Mari flustered in silence. When Mari is about to drift off to sleep, her thoughts hold her back. Memories resurface, how she became a mere replacement for her sister's betrothal, how Hannah and Lisa treated her so harshly. And yet Kairos shows genuine interest in knowing her. Meanwhile, in his quarters, Kairos lies on his bed, hugging his pillow as his mind lingers on Mari. Just then, Mio enters quietly, catching him in the act. Startled, Kairos quickly composes himself, but Mio simply asks how he feels after days of not seeing Mari. Surprisingly, the Count simply answers that he loves Mari and finds her truly beautiful, which only frustrates Mio. She recalls how, 5 days ago, he ordered her to give Mari the utmost hospitality and everything she deserves. Kairos believes Mari was not treated kindly in her own home. He wants to surround her with every luxury possible. However, no matter how much he offers, Mari continues to avoid these comforts. This is when Mio shares her own experiences. Though abandoned as a child, she was fortunate to be cared for by Liu Liu. Over time, she rose to become the head chamberlain of Granova's castle, a position far above her station. For this, she expresses her deep gratitude to Kairos, acknowledging that his generosity shaped her life. Kairos feels confused about Mio's point, but she explains that she can relate to Mari. Coming from a life of oppression and suddenly stepping into nobility is overwhelming. Mio believes Mari is still uncertain about everything, just as she once was. Back then, she feared it would all disappear one day too. Kairos firmly assures her that nothing will vanish. Mari is perfect as she is, just as Mio fulfills her role as head chamberlain, and Liu Liu treats her like a daughter. His reassurance stuns Mio, prompting her to praise him for continuing to appreciate such things. However, Kairos' tone shifts as he mentions his upcoming business trip the next day. He asks Mio to use her discretion to ensure Mari's comfort. Even during Mio's serious moments, Kairos breaks the tension by gushing over Mari. He lists countless compliments while hugging his pillow and rolling back and forth on the bed. Mio bids Kairos goodbye, closing his bedroom door, but her mind is already fixed on her new priority. She finally has permission to act regarding personnel. The next day, Mari is served a meal, smaller than usual but perfectly portioned. To her relief, she finishes everything without difficulty, leaving her feeling satisfied. As she enjoys her tea, Mio joins her and Mari's heart lifts. She has long wished to share such a moment with her. It is then that Mari realizes that if Mio is here, Kairos must have already left. However, Mio calmly explains that Hannah and Lisa have been assigned to attend to the master, allowing Mio to focus on Mari. As her thoughts drift, Tapo enters, carrying a tray. He presents a delicate white pudding made from almond and fresh milk, offering Mio a plate as well. They take their first bites together, and both freeze in astonishment. Tapo cheerfully announces he will make more pudding for the entire kingdom, but Mari quickly stops him, suggesting Hannah and Lisa might not like milk. This catches Mio's attention, and she calmly asks why Mari thinks so. Mari innocently recounts a story of when she once requested milk for her tea, only to be denied by Hannah and Lisa. As Mio listens, her expression gradually hardens. Mio and Mari stroll down the hallway, chatting casually when Thomas approaches carrying a box addressed to Mari from the Shadowrun household. Hearing this, Mio immediately scolds him, reminding him that all deliveries should be inspected first. Flustered, Thomas drops the box, spilling its contents across the floor. Mio questions why it wasn't brought to her beforehand, but Thomas explains that Hannah and Lisa had already inspected it. Among the scattered items, Mari notices a letter from her mother and belongings from her past life, things meant for her, assuming she would only ever serve in the Count's court. Realization dawns on Mio. Hannah and Lisa intended to humiliate Mari. Enraged, she storms toward the sound of mocking laughter echoing nearby. As Thomas fumbles to apologize, Mari kneels quietly, collecting torn pages of her cherished story, Red Raggedy Cat, hoping to piece it back together. Moments later, Mio storms back into the room, holding both Hannah and Lisa before tossing them onto the floor without hesitation. Infuriated, the two sneer at her, mocking her status as just a maid. They bragged arrogantly about serving the prince in the palace and being recommended by Prince Luifan himself. Despite Mio holding the title of Granado's head chamberlain, their insults persist, turning fiercer as they target Mari, calling her a barbarian, while ridiculing Mio as an abandoned child. Their words push Mio past her breaking point. With a sharp glare, Mio declares them as stupid. Hannah lunges at her in rage, but Mio effortlessly counters with a swift flip that slams her to the ground. Without missing a beat, she pivots toward Lisa, executing the same move. Thomas apologizes once more for the trouble, but Mari brushes it off. She requests thread and scissors, determined to mend it herself. Later that day, Mari visits Johan in the garden, now wearing a more suitable dress for gardening. Johan, unbothered, happily agrees to let her join him. Together, they begin working, and Mari kneels to plant seedlings with care. As she does so, memories surface. She used to do this for her family. Yet, unlike before, it doesn't feel like hard labor at all. Instead, it feels like doing something she truly loves, growing vegetables. As they continue working, Johan apologizes for avoiding her during their first meeting. He explains that he didn't want to cause her trouble, being just a servant, and more than that, a foreigner. But Mari dismisses his concerns, assuring him that she doesn't care about such things. To her, everyone in the castle feels like family. He then recalls how Count Kairos often speaks the same way. While Mari and Johan are tending the garden, Thomas arrives to inform Mari that Kairos is about to leave. Startled, she rushes over to bid him farewell, only to find him looking tired, clearly from spending the night thinking about her. As they exchange a few words, Mio speaks as well, advising Kairos to return Hannah and Lisa to the palace. This infuriates the two, who immediately protest, boasting about being personally recommended and even claiming Prince Luifan hinted they could become Kairos' concubines and blames Mari for their failure. They hurl insult after insult, calling her nothing but a dead woman's replacement, and even branding Kairos a laughingstock for staying with her. The final straw comes when they call Mari ugly. At that moment, Kairos intervenes, his voice sharp with anger. He berates the two harshly, declaring they lack even a single quality that could make him love them, unlike Mari. His words humiliate them completely. Without hesitation, Kairos orders that Hannah and Lisa be removed at once. When Hannah and Lisa are finally taken away, Mari and Kairos are left in the garden, sharing a quiet moment together. Kairos bends down, picks a delicate flower, and gently tucks it behind Mari's ear. His gaze lingers as he softly compliments her beauty one by one. Her radiant red hair, her bright eyes, her knowledge, her curiosity, and even her warm smile. To him, everything about her is captivating. Caught up in the moment, Kairos slowly leans closer as if to kiss her. But before their lips meet, Mio interrupts, reminding him of the time. They almost forgot she was still there. From a distance, they notice Tunica and Johan watching, both amused by what they just witnessed. That same day, Kairos leaves in a carriage for the royal palace. He will be away for 10 days, and once he returns, the preparations for their betrothal will begin. As Mari watches him disappear from sight, an uneasy feeling lingers in her heart, even with Kairos' earlier reassurance. That night, Mari receives a letter, an invitation from Prince Luifan himself. However, as she reads it, the tone feels less like an invitation and more like a warning. The letter states that she is invited to a special event at the royal palace and emphasizes how all preparations have already been made in anticipation of her presence. If she refuses, the prince warns that everything will be wasted and even hints that people may hold a grudge lasting generations. The sender is none other than Prince Luifan, the third prince of the kingdom and captain of the Royal Knights. Known for his open-hearted personality, the suddenness of this letter is unsettling. The fact that it arrives on the eve of the event makes it clear. Her attendance is a must. Feeling pressured, Mari reluctantly decides to attend. By morning, a royal chariot from the prince arrives at the Granado's castle to escort her to the palace. Mari steps inside and is immediately struck by the carriage's lavish interior. With uncertainty, the carriage sets off toward the royal palace. The carriage travels until Mari finally reaches her destination. Upon arrival, Mio immediately begins explaining everything. The kingdom of Diltz is known as the stronghold of the Royal Knights. She wonders why she was invited, and Mio speculates it could be because Prince Luifan himself recommended Hannah and Lisa, As they walk, Mio describes the prince's eccentric nature. Despite his odd sense of humor, Mio assures her he is not a bad person. They tour the lively streets where laughter and music fill the air. It has been 50 years since the war, and the kingdom thrives in peace, bustling with joy and entertainment. While sharing this story, Mio hands Mari a local street food, which she accepts willingly. Scanning the lively festival, Mio notices that Prince Luifan is nowhere in sight, leaving Mari to wonder if she should simply enjoy the festivities and slip away. Mio, however, refuses to believe it's that simple. She warns that Luifan is notoriously unpredictable, though Mari suspects Mio is just being too harsh about the prince. Just then, Mio spots someone in the distance. It's Prince Luifan. Mari panics instantly as she searches the crowd for a glimpse of him. Mio decides to approach him quickly, but before moving, she turns to Mari with a firm warning. Luifan might be just doing his tricks to lure them. She orders Mari to stay in her place and not wander under any circumstances. Everything Mio said leaves Mari terrified, so she vows not to move an inch. But then, a vendor calls out to her, and her eyes catch a flyer that reads, "Apple Peeling Contest." Instantly intrigued, she walks over and tells the vendor she wants to participate. The vendor, surprised, remarks that nobles usually never even touch a knife. His comment echoes Hannah and Lisa's cruel words in her mind, so she fears this will only make Kira's a laughingstock, just like they claimed. However, the vendor doesn't budge and proudly presents her an apple, boasting it carries the knight's stamp of approval. With this, Mari decides to take a challenge. But just as the timer is about to start, someone snatches the apple from her hands. It's Prince Luifan. With a teasing grin, he toys with her apple, refusing to return it. Mari demands it back, but Luifan only takes a bold bite, smirking as her face flushes with anger and frustration. The vendor jokingly scolds the man, but when he addresses him as Highness, Mari freezes. Only then does she realize it's Prince Luifan. At that moment, Mio arrives, running, confirming what she suspected all along. Luifan was simply pulling one of his tricks. With his trick exposed, Luifan finally offers a proper introduction, presenting himself not only as a prince, but more importantly, as Kira's friend. In that instant, Mari understands the kind of person he truly is. After introducing himself, Luifan strolls with Mio and Mari around the kingdom, enduring Mio's scolding for arriving late. He apologizes repeatedly before suggesting they visit the noble's salon for a lavish buffet. Mari, however, declines. The memory of Hannah and Lisa's behavior leaves her uneasy about noble formalities. Luifan apologizes again, admitting his mistake and recommending them without understanding their character. Mari explains that aristocratic settings make her anxious, prompting Luifan to change plans and invite her to a swordsmanship exhibition instead. Now, even that unsettles her, so Mio assures her she can decline since competitions heighten her discomfort. Frustrated, Luifan bursts out in exasperation. Feeling pressured, Mari reluctantly agrees to accompany him. He eagerly shares how Kairos once praised his swordsmanship, which makes Mari relax a little while Luifan beams with pride. When they arrive, the semifinals of the swordsmanship tournament are about to begin, and the arena roars with excitement. While waiting, Luifan casually recalls dozing off during last year's concert, forcing Kairos to nudge his face repeatedly to wake him. Mari finds it oddly fascinating how fondly Luifan speaks of Kairos. Soon, Mio excuses herself to get food for all of them, though she and Mari just ate. As the semifinals begin, the arena erupts in cheers. A black armored knight steps onto the stage to face an opponent clad in silver, yet Mari's attention drifts elsewhere. Luifan notices her disinterest and wonders aloud if she acts this way toward Kairos as well. Mari hesitates, unable to respond. So Luifan smiles faintly and admits she is unlike anyone he has met before. He then shares a memory of meeting Kairos from the first time back in school, a meeting that ended in a fistfight. Despite Kairos being a duke's son, Luifan outranked him, so he called him a fool for creating such rankings. With this, Luifan punched him in the face, but Kairos also retaliated and chaos soon followed. Without realizing it, the sword fight concludes swiftly, and the black armored knight claims victory with ease. His movements suggest he was even holding back, leading Luifan to assume he must be a considerate fighter. What surprises him most, however, is Mari's reaction. While other women squeal in excitement, Mari remains unmoved. Physical power doesn't impress her, instead it unsettles her. This stark contrast frustrates Luifan, who begins questioning why Kairos would choose someone so seemingly negative as his fiancé. Mari is about to respond when the next announcement interrupts her thoughts. Another match begins featuring the same Black Knight. In a matter of strides, he strikes down his opponent, earning an instant victory that sends the crowd into cheers. What truly captures Mari's attention is not the Black Knight's victory, but his kindness. Instead of claiming his trophy, he first tends to his fallen opponent. Just then, Mio returns, holding a bag of food, and casually sits beside Mari. With certainty, she reveals that the Black Knight is none other than Kairos. Luifan questions her judgment, but Mio recognizes his footwork and swordsmanship. To confirm, Mio suddenly leaps up and screams Kara's name like an overexcited fan before quickly ducking out of sight. Her outburst instantly grabs the crowd's attention, and Kara's as well. With no other option, the Black Knight removes his helmet, confirming Mio's words. The audience erupts in cheers as Kairos greets them with a bow. Mio explains that every male noble in the kingdom of Diltz is made to hold a sword at least once, and Kairos has trained ever since he was a kid for self-defense. Mari knew right away that it was Luifan who planned it all along. After the match, Mari and Mio return to the capital, only to encounter a long line of girls hoping Kairos will choose a new fiancé after his former one had died. Mari feels a pang of pity for herself, realizing she is nothing more than a replacement. What infuriates her further is hearing the girls ridicule Kairos, mocking him as a barbarian despite his honor. Unable to bear their insults, Mari strides forward, determined to find him. The girls immediately block her path, demanding to know who she is. Mari lies, claiming she is the Count's associate. At that moment, Mio steps in to cover for her, creating a distraction that allows Mari to slip through and continue forward. Contrary to the other girls' speculations, Mari knows Kairos is nothing like they claim. She does not understand how they can speak about him that way, and the thought troubles her deeply. Meanwhile, within the castle, Kairos was unaware that Luifan arranged for him to participate in the swordsmanship competition. Their talk halts abruptly when Mari bursts into the room, accidentally making a noise. With a bright smile, she congratulates Kairos warmly, leaving him stunned. For a moment, he wonders if he's hallucinating, returning a smile in disbelief. His composure falters further when Luifan reveals he invited Mari intentionally, hoping she would witness Kairos' strength. Mari, however, doesn't seem entirely pleased by this. Kairos quickly steps in, explaining that she dislikes violence and aristocracies. To him, none of that matters, yet Luifan insists she doesn't look happy at all. Luifan bluntly raises the topic of Mari being nothing more than a replacement for her sister and a pawn in a political marriage with Kairos. Mari cannot deny it. Deep down, she knows her engagement began as a mere formality. Her silence convinces Luifan that she has no real feelings for Kairos, prompting him to urge her to leave. He cannot bear to see his closest friend in love with someone who appears indifferent. His words grow harsher, even mocking Mari's discomfort with noble customs. Kira's restraint snaps, and he seizes Luifan by the collar. Yet Luifan pushes further with his insults, undeterred. Their heated argument escalates until Luifan draws his sword. Kairos follows, and the clash begins. Mari can only stand frozen in place as the two men battle fiercely before finally breaking apart. Instead, Luifan formally challenges Kairos to a duel in the Grand Arena, determined to crush his pride. Kairos, however, remains calm as he accepts the challenge. When Luifan finally leaves, Mari returns to Kairos, pleading not to escalate things further. Through trembling words, she admits that everything Luifan said about her was true, but what she cannot bear is seeing Kairos ridiculed because of her, and when he looks at her, tears are streaming down her cheeks. Despite Luifan's harshness, Kairos understands his friend's motives. He was only trying to protect him, fearing Kairos was trapped in unrequited love. Still, that does not justify humiliating Mari, and Kairos is determined to teach him a lesson. Mari thanks Kairos for defending her, but Luifan's insult, calling him a coward, still lingers, making her relent and let him fight. He lifts Mari's hand and presses a soft kiss to it, leaving them both silently flushed at the moment. Later that day, Kairos faces Luifan in the swordsmanship match, and the crowd grows wild while both Mari and Mio watch from their same spot as before. Kairos urges Luifan to put his helmet on, afraid of injuring his friend, but Luifan refuses and tells Kairos to do it instead. Refusing to comply, both royals throw their helmets on the ground as they begin their match. A few moments pass and the two are still fighting. By the looks of it, both have the same level of skill. Then, Luifan knocks Kairos' sword away. But Kairos carries on, fighting Luifan with no weapon in hand. Soon, he manages to make Luifan lose his grip on his sword as well, and the fight escalates when Luifan throws a straight punch at Kairos' face. The match turns into a fistfight, something completely unalloyed by the rules, but neither backs down. They keep going until Kairos finally delivers a powerful punch that sends Luifan crashing to the ground, ending the fight. With that, Kairos is announced as the winner, and Mari immediately rises from her seat, cheering for him with a bright smile. The crowd soon follows, their cheers filling the arena. Amid the roaring applause, Kairos calls out to Mari, asking her to come down and join him. With that, Mari approaches the stage, but just as she is about to ask, Kairos carries her in bridal hold. Facing the crowd, he boldly announces their betrothal. Instantly, the crowd erupts and whispers, shocked that Mari, daughter of Baron Shadowrun, an unfamiliar name, is the future countess. Kairos gently urges Mari to look at the crowd, but shyness holds her back. Deep down, she feels unworthy of standing beside him. Yet Kairos calms her doubts, pulling her closer and reassuring her gently. The cheers grow louder as Mari finally faces them. And at that moment, Kairos and Mari stand proud as the people chant for the future Granado. That afternoon, Mari returns to the vendor hosting the apple peeling contest. The vendor immediately recognizes her and apologizes for being unable to stop the prince earlier, but Mari pays no mind. She simply wants to join again. The vendor hands her an apple, but before she can begin, someone snatches it away. This time, it's Kairos, eager to compete alongside her. Kairos starts peeling the apple with remarkable skill. Mari notices and learns he mastered this during his camp out for business trips. Curious, she brings up Luifan, wondering how he's doing. Before Kairos can respond, a familiar voice answers from behind. Kairos blames him for the earlier chaos and quickly thrusts an apple into his hand, challenging him to join before turning to Mari to ask for tips. Sure enough, Mari knows exactly how to handle the knife, having plenty of experience peeling fruits and vegetables back home. Kairos continues to compliment her as he works on his apple, which prompts Luifan to remind him that Mari doesn't even like him. No matter how many sharp remarks Luifan throws, Kairos remains completely unfazed, responding with optimism to every word. He even goes as far as saying how wonderful life will be once they are married and spend their days together. Finally realizing how devoted his friend is, Luifan decides to let it go and turns to leave. But before he can, Mari calls out to him. She expresses interest in learning more about Kairos and hopes Luifan can share more stories about him another time. Mari understands that the reason Luifan brought her here was to show her Kairos' admirable qualities. With this, Luifan offers an apology and bites into the apple. Turns out the apple is a display fruit, a trick Kairos pulled, and soon the two are teasing each other relentlessly until Luifan storms off in frustration, muttering under his breath. When it's time to leave, Mio informs Mari that she must stay behind with her master, so Mari will return under the coachman's escort. Before parting ways, Mari and Kairos exchange gentle words until their conversations shift to sweet compliments about each other. In a sudden rush of courage, Mari steps closer and presses a soft kiss on Kairos' cheek. Flustered, she quickly retreats, darting into the carriage and urging the coachman to go, leaving Kairos momentarily frozen before chasing a few steps after her, stunned by her sudden gesture. As the carriage rolls on, Mari stares into the window. In just a month or two, she will marry Kairos, the man once promised to her sister. Though it's a political marriage, she silently wishes for a life built on love. Meanwhile, Mio delivers a message to Kairos confirming it originates from House Shadowrun. As Kairos scans the contents, his expression darkens. The letter's content leaves him questioning whether the Shadowruns are really Mari's parents. The letter that arrives from Baron Shadowrun and his wife is full of harsh and abusive words. They only care about Mari coming back so they can enslave her again. This leaves Kairos wondering how they can abuse Mari like that. While he is away, he wants Mio to investigate something for him. It has been a month since the festival. On this day, Mari stands looking outside the window, admiring the wonderful weather and looking forward to the day ahead. Suddenly, a knock on the door catches her attention. It is Wolfgang, her butler. Just as she greets him, a young girl rushes forward to hug her. Wolfgang introduces the girl as Cecily, his granddaughter, who is just an apprentice. Cecily proudly shows off the buns in her hair, and Mari happily compliments them. While the two exchange pleasant words, Cecily casually mentions that Mia will still be away for the day, so she must attend to Mari in the meantime. Their conversation is interrupted when Wolfgang asks about Mari's dress, prompting her to choose a blue off-shoulder gown that fits her perfectly. Wolfgang and Cecily both compliment her, and Wolfgang teases that Kairos will surely embrace her upon seeing her. His comment leaves Mari flustered, as lately Kairos seems to affect her differently. Eager to greet Kairos upon his arrival, Mari and Cecily hurry toward the Count's location. Along the way, Tapa notices them and remarks that lunch isn't ready yet, to which Mari casually replies that the Count will arrive. After exchanging farewells, Mari and Cecily continue on. Suvinjohan approaches carrying a bouquet, suggesting Mari take them with her. So she takes them with her as they go on their way. Upon the Count's arrival, the castle attendants line up to greet him, but what catches his attention most is Mari, standing above the stairs in a pretty gown, holding a bouquet. She descends to greet him and offers the flowers Johan gave her. Kairos, however, does not take them, saying they are an accessory for her. But in that case, she would be a gift to him as well, a flower personified. Kairos teases that he almost embraced her, which makes Mari shy. Then, unexpectedly, Kairos offers his hand. Mari thinks he intends to take the roses, but instead he reaches for her hand and holds her close. The sudden act startles Mari, but Kairos calmly takes a flower from the bouquet and places it in her hair, all while complimenting her beauty. Still, Mari believes he is only teasing her. Later that night, Mari lies awake in her room, exhausted. She had hoped they could finally have dinner together. But Kairos must leave again. The betrothal ceremony is approaching and nerves weigh heavily on her. Beyond what she learned from her father and at school, she feels like she doesn't know anything else. Suddenly, an idea comes to her. She rises and retrieves the Red Riding Cat book from her table drawer. But when she opens it, she realizes the pages are torn and scattered. Wanting to fix the torn book, Mari seeks Wolfgang's help, and together, they stroll through the castle hallways. As they pass, they notice a light shining from a room. Mari tries to peek inside, and the door opens. It's Liu Liu. Mari greets her warmly, and although Liu Liu is concerned about why Mari is wandering so late, Mari shares her worries. Liu Liu invites her into the library, a large room filled with countless books that amaze Mari. Seeing letters spread out on the table, Mari asks if Liu Liu doesn't have someone to write for her. Liu Liu explains that since Kairos is very busy, she helps him write them. The letters are invitations for their betrothal ceremony, so they must be written by the couple or someone close. With this, Mari offers to help with the writing, and Liu Liu gladly accepts. While writing letters for Ipsandros, Mari mentions she can also write them. This immediately interests Liu Liu. Mari is skilled in the Ipsian language for reading and writing, though she struggles with verbal conversations. Wolfgang shares Mari's fondness for Ipsandrian stories, like the Red Riding Cat book she came to mend. Liu Liu happily takes the book, feeling a wave of nostalgia. Mari feels the same, remembering how her sister Anastasia used to read it to her. Although Mari's father often calls her an eccentric layabout for studying foreign languages, Liu Liu thinks it's quite clever. Mastering other languages would be a great advantage when dealing with merchants and nobility alike. Liu Liu explains that Ipsian isn't as widely useful as Flarian and Shanian, but Mari speaks those languages too. Even though she's just a baron's daughter, many tenant farmers on their land are immigrants. So Mari learned these languages for managerial purposes. Liu Liu finds it strange that Mari handles all this, saying it should be her father's job. Mari replies she's only assisting. She's always loved writing letters, and even if she writes on her father's behalf, it lets her connect with others freely. While they write, Liu Liu notices Mari's beautiful handwriting and asks her to sign her name. Liu Liu finds this only right as she's writing with her own words and not on behalf of anyone else. Hearing this, Mari can hardly believe it. Tears begin to fall down her cheeks. Liu Liu reveals she never expected much from Mari. She had heard Mari was a noblewoman from the countryside, yet she was the person Kairos chose to propose to. Like herself, Liu Liu once thought she needed to help Mari where she might be lacking, but now she takes that back. She is simply happy for Mari as Kairos' betrothed. Over time, Liu Liu has come to care for her and wishes only the best for her future. Mari cannot hold back her tears. In that moment, Mari isn't sad but feels overwhelmed by emotion. Kairos arrives at the palace and is immediately greeted by Mio, who has just finished the investigation he ordered. In a nearby room, documents lie scattered, confirming that Mari is truly the Baron's daughter. Kairos still harbors doubts, but Mio is certain. The records detail the noble family's history, showing no evidence of adoption or remarriage. It is said they even shed tears of joy upon Mari's birth. There can be no hospital mix-up either, as the hospice had only one bed at the time. Kairos finds it hard to believe that Mari's biological parents would treat her so cruelly, but Mio's own story proves that birth parents do not always show unconditional love for their children. With this in mind, Mio hands him another letter received that morning, which Kairos opens immediately. The letter states that Mari's father is on his deathbed and demands her immediate return. Both of them know that if Mari learns this, she will come back home, but Kairos wants to protect her without trapping her inside the castle forever. As he makes his way there, he hears Liu Liu speaking with Mari. Peeking through the doorway, he sees Liu Liu teaching Mari how to curtsy. Though Liu Liu is simply instructing, Kairos misinterprets her actions as bullying and quickly barges in to intervene. However, when Mari turns to welcome Kairos home, he feels flattered and momentarily loses his words. Liu Liu seizes the moment to ask Kairos to be Mari's practice partner for the curtsy. Kairos thinks she doesn't have to learn such formalities, but Liu Liu insists that Mari needs to learn them somehow. She expresses confidence in Mari's abilities and praises her, while Kairos simply wishes to see Mari surrounded by beauty and happiness. Cecily calls out to Kairos, showing him the curtsy Mari has practiced. Watching Mari perform it, Kairos is stunned by her grace and poise. Liu Liu then brings up Mari's role in writing the betrothal letters. Although Kairos prefers she not be involved, Liu Liu gently scolds him, reminding him to let Mari grow independently and not treat her like a fragile bird. Their conversation is interrupted by Mari's question about her curtsy. Kairos compliments her warmly and she accepts happily. Her smile reminds Kairos of the first time he saw her, bright and genuine. With that, Liu Liu suggests they take a break and share tea, so they each take a step outside. Before Mari can leave with the others, Kairos stops her and hands her the letter from home. He thinks that if she ever feels the need to return, he will go with her. But Mari interrupts him mid-sentence, saying she will not be going home anytime soon. She knows the letter is a lie, the handwriting matches her father's, but if he truly were on his deathbed, he wouldn't be able to write it. She suspects there were other demanding letters before this one, which Kairos confirms. He apologizes for acting without her permission. Mari gently shrugs it off. She understands her family might be struggling to hire a maid, which is probably why they want her back. She knows they don't want to see her, they hate her. Now she realizes their abuse was never discipline, but pure hatred. Kairos once thought Mari accepted the abuse as natural because of her looks. Now he sees how strong she has become. Mari thanks him, saying it is his and the castle people's care that helped her recognize her worth. Kairos embraces her tightly, creating an awkward but tender moment between them. While having tea, Tunica casually compliments Mari's outfit, which she accepts gratefully. Encouraged, Kairos decides to compliment her as well. However, when he does, Mari becomes flustered and struggles to respond. She explains it's because she isn't used to receiving compliments from men, so Kairos quickly apologizes. Just then, Tapo approaches with a blueberry tart in hand and also compliments Mari. This time, she handles it gracefully. Kairos feels unsettled. Tapo is a man too. Kairos wonders if Mari's discomfort stems from his frequent absences. With that, he promises to stay by her side from now on. Yet Mari isn't paying attention. She is busy greeting Mio, who has just arrived. Mio comes to speak with Kairos and requests a leave of absence. She explains she must visit a remote place, even though she has just returned. She describes her plans with such charm and enthusiasm that Mari suspects she might be meeting a lover. And Mio advises her to take some private time with Kairos now that their betrothal ceremony is approaching. That night, before Mio heads out, Kairos hands her a pile of letters to deliver to Baron Shatterin if she ever meets him on her journey. The letters contain warnings forbidding any bad talk about Mari and list all of her good qualities. He also gives Mio a purse full of gold coins and instructs her to use the royal carriage. Although Mio is strong, Kairos insists on sending one of his attendants along just in case anything happens. The next day, Mio departs for her destination with Thomas accompanying her. She wears unusually casual clothes, which surprises Thomas. He thinks it's a bad idea for him to tag along, assuming she's meeting a lover. Mio explains she is heading to the Shatterin lands where a tragic accident occurred 2 months ago. The package from Mari's parents had carried something else. It included a letter from her younger brother, Cedric, announcing Anastasia's return. Thomas is shocked. He thought she had died. Contrary to the story that her carriage fell off a cliff, investigations revealed they were attacked by bandits, and while fleeing toward the river, the carriage was overturned by muddy waters. Even so, Mio insists there's no way Anastasia survived. The river is cold and swift, and rescue could not reach them in time. Yet, in the Shatterin home, Elvira is happily combing a head of beautiful golden hair, belonging to whom she calls Anastasia. During a short break from their journey, Mio carefully explains everything to Thomas. Anastasia was being escorted by carriage, arranged by her father on the way to Granados Castle. For the first few days, the travel went smoothly. However, when they were already near the capital, they were suddenly ambushed by bandits. In her desperate attempt to escape, Anastasia slipped and fell into a river that was swollen from heavy rainfall. The driver tried to save her, but his body had too many wounds. Everything Mio tells Thomas comes directly from the driver's testimony and the police investigation. What unsettles Thomas is Cedric's letter to Mari, claiming Anastasia has returned home. If true, Mari must distance herself from Kairos at once. Still, Mio insists Kairos' love for Mari is genuine. A few days after Mio departs from Granados Castle, Kairos steps in to serve Mari in her place. Though the usual uniforms don't fit him, he is still determined to look the part of her attendant. Yet what Kairos truly seeks is an emotional bond. He longs for Mari to connect with him as she did with Mio and the other castle workers. Kairos tries his best to do his job, but Mari becomes flustered whenever she meets his gaze. He even tries to do her hair, which only makes her more nervous. However, when Kairos begins talking about picking out her dress, Mari's expression immediately changes. Fortunately, Cicely arrives just in time, kicking Kairos from behind since he promised her that she could be the one to dress Mari. The two argue over it until Wolfgang interferes, apologizing for his granddaughter's behavior and scolding Cicely for disrespecting Kairos. The next day, in Mari's room, Kairos suddenly barges in, asking her for a date. It turns out Kairos received a letter from Luifan inviting them to the royal capital. However, he admits he does not fully trust Luifan, so instead, he wants to go there with Mari alone. Arriving at the kingdom's streets, Kairos and Mari are both dressed casually to conceal their identities. However, the way Mari still addresses Kairos holds traces of formality, so he urges her to call him by his first name instead, reminding her that it could expose them. The idea startles Mari, but since there is still time before they meet with Luifan, Kara suggests they take a short tour first. Extending his hand, he insists they walk hand in hand to avoid being separated in the crowd. Meanwhile, in another place, Mio and Thomas continue their journey, now approaching the Shadowrun lands where Mari grew up. The area stretches with open fields and cattle herds. At first, Thomas expected to see humbler lands, but Mio confirms the truth. Though the land itself is wide, taxes have steadily increased ever since the end of the Great War. With that burden, the landlord must continue taking care of the land as part of his job, but they don't seem to be doing well nowadays. Their first stop is Mari's old school. The receptionists fail to recognize Mio, so she smoothly pretends to be a noblewoman from the royal capital seeking knowledge about farming. Thomas can only stare in shock, amazed at how effortlessly Mio shifts her demeanor in an instant. Mio asks the receptionist if there is any girl she can speak with about farming, but aside from Mari, the only student was the daughter of a local innkeeper who had also withdrawn midterm. Her name is Karina. Mio quickly locates Karina's mother and shifts her persona once more, this time claiming to be a detective from the royal capital. She lies smoothly, saying Karina might be in danger and requesting her old student ID from school. Mio succeeds and secures Karina's ID. With that, they continue their journey toward the Shadowrun mansion. Thomas, however, grows increasingly uneasy with her actions. While he questions her methods, Mio remains confident, justifying her behavior by pointing out loopholes and insisting she technically never lied. Despite Thomas's worry, Mio reveals that her big lies are only beginning. Finally, they arrive at the Shadowrun mansion, where Mio warns Thomas to quickly adapt to her behavior so they won't be exposed. The mansion appears large, but its poor maintenance is obvious, far different from how Mio once remembered it. Without hesitation, Mio strides onto the property, catching Thomas off guard. An elderly woman named Tanya approaches them, demanding to know who they are. With a charming smile, she introduces herself as a student visiting with her fiancé. She claims they are Karina and Henry, friends of Mari. To support the lie, Mio shows her the student ID she obtained from Karina's mother. To investigate, Mio fakes a story about meeting Mari in the capital, claiming Mari asked her to pick something up for her once she returned home. With that, Mio requests to see Mari's room and Tanya agrees to lead them there. When the door is opened, Mio and Thomas are startled to find a cluttered storage space stacked with boxes. Curious, Mio asks why Mari is made to work so much. With this, Tanya explains it is because of Mari's appearance. The only one who ever showed Mari real affection was her grandmother Sasha. Suddenly, Cedric bursts in, hoping to see Mari, but his father, George, quickly scolds him. Thomas shrinks back in fear, yet Mio boldly steps forward, confidently introducing herself under her assumed identity. When George hears their explanation, he dismisses Tanya's claim, insisting that the room they were shown was only a storage space, not Mari's actual quarters. Even Tanya seems taken aback, but George smoothly guides Mio and Thomas into the mansion, saying he will show them Mari's real room. As they walk, George describes Mari as shy and gloomy. However, Mio counters this with warm stories of Mari. When Mio is asked what item Mari told her to bring her, she only laughs nervously, claiming it is a secret. George leads the two into a well-kept room, but Mio immediately recognizes it as belonging to Anastasia. Mio explains that Mari loves to study, so her true room should be filled with books. Forced to comply, George reluctantly takes them to another chamber stacked with shelves and leaves them there in haste. Thomas hesitates, unsure whether it is truly Mari's room, but Mio shows little interest in the books. Instead, she presses closer to the windows and begins eavesdropping. The voice seems to come from Elvira, Mari's mother, speaking softly to someone. Listening closely, Mio and Thomas hear her mention Anastasia's name. Before they can catch more, George suddenly returns, announcing that the family plans to go out, so their visit must end. Mio doesn't argue and politely agrees, but when George suggests Mari should come to them next time, she counters that Mari is busy with her upcoming betrothal. With that, George insists that until the ceremony is complete, Mari still belongs to him. Their tense exchange is interrupted when Elvira appears, offering to serve tea. George, however, quickly dismisses her and urges the guests to leave. As Elvira departs, Thomas catches her voice again from the next room, speaking distinctly to Anastasia. When the family departs, Mio and Thomas pretend to leave as well, but in truth, they are just lingering long enough before circling back. With Thomas's help, Mio slips through a window and cracks open the lock to Elvira's private room. As they peek through, they both freeze. The faint silhouette of a woman can be seen from behind the curtain. They approach cautiously, trying to talk to Anastasia, but no reply comes. With unease, they pull the curtains aside, only to freeze in shock as they see a doll dressed exactly like Anastasia. Mio steps closer, inspecting its details with curiosity. After that, they leave the mansion by carriage. Thomas believes Elvira has lost her mind from grief, but Mio disagrees, insisting she is completely sane. Mia recalls how the doll seemed freshly made, probably made by Elvira herself. The doll looks like a real person, even its hair is real human hair, and even worse, the dress was identical to the one Anastasia wore on the day of her accident. Yet that should be impossible, as Anastasia's body was never recovered. These details convince Mio there are glaring inconsistencies in the case. With this, she tells Tomeless to take a turn as she needs to meet someone. The driver of the rented carriage is surely lying. Meanwhile, in the capital of the Dilt's kingdom, Kairos and Mari spend their day like ordinary travelers, sampling food from the stalls. Kairos shares how he often came here as a student, recalling his time at the Royal Academy where he had studied since the age of 12. The thought of a younger Kairos leaves Mari quietly stunned. They discover a vendor selling Donderma ice cream prepared with playful showmanship. When Mari reaches for her order, the vendor begins teasing her, pulling away each time. Though flustered, Mari refuses to give up. The moment she takes her first bite, her face lights up in delight. Turning to share her joy, she finds Kairos already kneeling, overwhelmed by how adorable she is. Their next stop is a store that handles goods from every country, popular among merchants. Kairos talks about the Ipsandrian fabric with pride, pointing it out to Mari. Looking at the variety of clothes, Mari thinks of buying something for Kairos as a present. Since Liu paid her for helping with letters, she has some money with her. However, when she checks the price tag of one of the clothes, her eyes widen in shock. The items are of premium quality and the cost is far more than she expected. Instead, Kairos chooses a suit and tries it on, asking Mari for her opinion. Mari suggests she try the fancier ones, and hearing this, Kairos becomes overly excited, purchasing all the luxurious displays at once. He tries them on one by one, just to show them to her. He even buys a Flareon uniform, saying it would be perfect for cheering her up whenever she feels down. While Kairos is changing, Mari wanders to the jewelry display outside. She pauses at a piece she thinks would suit Kairos well. Just then, a voice calls out to her from behind. Sweat beads on her forehead as she recognizes her sister's voice. Slowly, she turns around only to find a strange-looking man standing there instead. At first, the man only seems to be seeking customers, but soon he insists Mari join him for tea. Mari politely declines, but his behavior grows stranger and more forceful. Alarmed, she calls out to Kairos. In an instant, Kairos grabs the man by the collar. His sharp words make the stranger stumble back and flee in fear. Mari quickly apologizes for the scene, but Kairos is more troubled by something else. Mari never realized the man was trying to ask her out. It assumes she must have had many admirers already, but Mari admits no one has ever asked her before. Back at her school, most boys only mocked her for being plain and ragged. Kairos' chest tightens at the thought. He realizes that George had deliberately kept Mari in tatters to conceal her beauty, trapping her in disgrace so she would never realize her own worth. Rage simmers within Kairos, but he makes a vow to never let that happen again. Taking her hand firmly, he swears not to let go. Mari feels warmth and reassurance in his grip as they continue their stroll. Unbeknownst to them, a mysterious blonde figure lingers a short distance away, silently observing. In the kingdom of Dilts, Kairos and Mari walk hand in hand through the market stalls. Mari eagerly buys something at almost every stop, spices for Topo, flower seeds for Johan, even bracelets, until their arms are packed with goods. Kairos also picks out gifts for Mari, so they will need to return to their carriage to drop everything off before heading to their meeting with Luifan. After that, Kairos leads Mari to the artisan's quarters, a well-known purveyor to the royal family. It's also where he has agreed to meet Luifan, so the two of them step inside. Upon scanning the place, Mari is instantly captivated by the dazzling display of gemstones and jewelry. Giovanni, the butler, greets Kairos warmly and informs him that Luifan is still asleep upstairs. Kairos sighs and says he will go wake him, but advises Mari to stay with Giovanni, since Luifan has the odd habit of sometimes sleeping without clothes. As she scans the room, her eyes are instantly drawn to the green gems. Giovanni explains that these are fragments left behind during the cutting process, which means they come from high-quality jewels. He adds that such pieces are often used to craft modest accessories. Since Mari is Kairos' beloved, Giovanni offers to gift her anything she desires. Mari is startled by the offer, but as she takes a closer look at the green stones, she is reminded of Kairos' eyes as they are the exact same shade. Wanting them for him, she asks instead for their price. Giovanni, surprised by her request, still writes it down for her to see. The cost is far from cheap, yet Mari decides to purchase them. Giovanni carefully packs the stones and she accepts them with joy. She had rarely held such fine gems before, so she never expected to have the chance to buy one herself. But just as Mari is enjoying herself, someone suddenly pops out of nowhere. Startled, she quickly explains that she is there with someone, stepping backward as the stranger approaches. When the stranger asks about the man, Mari shyly says he is wonderful. The man keeps pressing with more questions, even going so far as to ask if they have ever kissed. Nervous, Mari answers each question one by one, but when it comes to the kiss, she admits they have not yet, though most likely they will soon. At that exact moment, Kairos comes down from upstairs, his nose bleeding from Mari's innocent cuteness. He immediately recognizes the man as Louis Fun in disguise. With his cover blown, Louis Fun reveals himself at last, greets Mari properly, and then leads them into the business he originally summoned them for. Once seated, Louis Fun presents them with a massive red stone, and Kairos and Mari are instantly taken aback. Louis Fun explains that it is an incredibly rare red diamond. Even if they searched the world, they would never find another of that size. Kairos thinks it must be a national treasure, and he is right. After World War II, this very gem was used as a bargaining chip in negotiations with their nation. But since then, it has simply been left to sleep in the royal vault. Louis Fun offers it to Kairos for 80 million euros. Though Kairos can hardly believe it, Louis Fun explains further. If a royal were to wear such a gem, the people would likely revolt. But if they claim it is a gift for Kairos, no one will complain. After all, the Granado family's wealth now exceeds even the royal families. Thanks to Liu Liu and Kairos' mercantile skill and ventures, House Granado has secured an immense fortune. Nobility alone does not guarantee an easy life nowadays. If managed poorly, it can all collapse just as it did with Baron Shadowrun. Mari takes everything Louis Fun says to heart, vowing never to neglect her duties and to continue her studies diligently. Louis Fun seems satisfied with her answer, and with that, he lowers the gem's price to 70 million. He then reveals that Kairos has been searching for a gem the same color as Mari's hair, something incredibly rare. Though Kairos had hoped to make it a surprise for their betrothal, Louis Fun ends up spilling the secret. Kairos explains that the gem's unique shade reminds him of Mari's beauty. With this, Kairos simply thanks Louis Fun for going through such trouble to find something so meaningful. Louis Fun, flustered by his friend's gratitude, looks away. Still, he reminds them it will take a few days to craft the gem into a ring, so they will need to return once it is ready. That afternoon, Mari and Kairos ride their carriage back to the castle. During the ride, Mari can't help but think about Kairos' words earlier. Before, she always shied away whenever he showed her affection, but now she finally understands how he truly feels. With trembling hands, she offers him the gift she secretly bought earlier. Kairos accepts it wholeheartedly and ties it to his hair, making Mari smile warmly. But that's not all. She also shows him the emerald fragments she bought from Giovanni. She plans to sew them into the hair tie. Mari admits she doesn't particularly like emeralds, but since they remind her of Kairos' eyes, she couldn't resist. Overwhelmed, Mari pretends she feels hot and opens the carriage window for fresh air. But as her eyes wander outside, she suddenly spots a blonde figure that looks strikingly like her sister Anastasia. In the heat of the moment, she instinctively reaches out, leaning dangerously close to falling, but Kairos grabs her just in time and pulls her back to safety. Mari chooses not to tell him what she saw. Instead, Kairos holds her hand tightly, wordlessly comforting her. She reflects on how happy this day has been, all because he never let go of her hand. Once she felt insecure about them, but Kairos only ever praised them. When he quietly admits he loves holding them, Mari blushes and answers the same. Unable to hold back any longer, Kairos embraces her tightly. Kairos softly tells Mari that if she doesn't like him, she should push him away. But she doesn't. Instead, she simply rests quietly against his chest. But then something strange happens. Mari suddenly drifts into a dream. In it, her sister Anastasia appears, whispering for her to return to her rightful place, as if demanding to trade lives with her. In the vision, Anastasia becomes Kairos' fiancée, while Mari is cast back into her old, lonely life. Though that was how things were meant to be, the thought chills her. A wave of coldness washes over her, and she collapses. That's when Kairos suddenly notices Mari's breathing grow heavy. She's unconscious. Panic flashes as he urgently tells the driver to stop the carriage and take them to the doctor. Meanwhile, Mari, lost in a dream, finds herself as a little girl again. Back then, whenever she was sick, Anastasia cared for her. Their parents were often busy with work, so Anastasia would stay by her side to comfort her. To cheer her up, Anastasia would take out a book, Red Raggedy Cat. She read the story with such enthusiasm that Mari couldn't help but smile. She had heard it so many times that she already memorized some of the lines, and the two would laugh together as they recited certain parts in chorus. But their joy was cut short whenever their grandmother, Sasha, entered the room. She would order Anastasia to step away from Mari. Even though Anastasia was only trying to take care of her, Sasha scolded her, even criticizing her clumsy translation of the story. Sasha insisted that Mari must learn things the correct way. With this, Anastasia would quietly leave the room. Sasha insists that Mari must learn the book exactly as it is written, but Mari is too weak with a fever. Still, Sasha doesn't budge. To her, Mari is the smartest in the family, so she pressures the little girl to take her education seriously. Though Anastasia is also fond of Ipsian words, Sasha disregards her completely. She cares only about Mari mastering them at 4 years old, demanding that she learn the Flarian language before she turns 6. Mari does love the Ipsandrian tongue, but it feels like punishment. She calls out to Anastasia, wanting to be by her side. Mari slowly opens her eyes, and the first thing she sees is Kairos. It turns out she collapsed from exhaustion and was brought to the doctor for care. Kairos explains that she was groaning in her sleep, so Mari quietly tells him about the dream she had. Kairos assures her that it was the maids who cleaned and changed her clothes, not him. After resting, Mari feels much better. She has slept for nearly half a day as dawn is already breaking outside. That means Kairos must not have slept at all, staying by her side to watch over her. But he doesn't seem to mind. Instead, he prepares soup for her as well. As Mari sees the bowl of soup, she recalls how Anastasia used to feed her soup the very same way when she was little. Caught in her memories, Mari absent-mindedly opens her mouth like she did when she was a child, and Kairos innocently feeds her a spoonful. Only then does she realize what she just did. Flustered, she apologizes and explains the situation, and Kairos listens intently to her story. But as she talks, Mari suddenly wonders, when did she start eating alone? Perhaps it was after her grandmother passed away. Kairos then brings her biscuits, which once again stir her memories. Anastasia used to sneak her biscuits too, even on days when their mother told Mari she wasn't allowed to eat. The memory makes Mari's eyes sting with tears. Because of this, Kairos notices her expression and grows even more concerned. But inside, Mari's thoughts only turn darker. If only Anastasia had lived instead of her, then it would have been Anastasia who was Kairos' fiancée. Suddenly, Mari's head starts throbbing. Kairos is about to call for the doctor, but she quickly stops him. She doesn't want him to go anywhere, not even for a moment. Even if it would only take a short while, Mari refuses to be apart from Kairos. He thinks she's just speaking out of gratitude, but his assumption makes Mari pause as she has been selfish all this time. As she gazes at him, she realizes something. When does she start looking directly into his eyes? The sun slowly begins to rise, and with it, Mari finds the courage to speak. She tells Kairos how much she loves his eyes. Before, when he showed her kindness, it always made her hesitate, but now she feels nothing but happiness. And then right there, Mari confesses her love for him, but before she can finish her sentence, Kairos pulls her into a kiss. Kairos also reveals his true feelings. From the very moment he met Mari, it felt as if he had already fallen in love with her. Normally, Mari wouldn't have rejected such a confession, but today she can only cry in happiness, accepting every word Kairos says. Even Kairos looks as though he might cry, overwhelmed with gratitude that his love is finally being returned. Still, he insists on fetching the doctor, advising Mari to remain in bed while he's gone. But to her, his words sound malicious, so she immediately hides her face beneath the blanket, although Kairos never meant it that way. They exchange quick apologies before he hurries out, but soon after, Mari hears a loud slam from outside. Alarmed, she rushes out only to find Kairos has fallen down the stairs. Before Kairos can explain, Mio answers that he was skipping steps, so he fell. Seeing Mio is back, Mari greets her warmly, but Mio quickly explains she has an important matter to discuss. She tells Kairos that she has brought someone with her, and as they head toward the hall, Mari quietly asks if her presence is really necessary. Kairos assures her that it is, though what she will hear may not sound entirely comforting. It is important, since the matter concerns her sister Anastasia. Mari's eyes widen in shock. When they arrive, Mia relieves Thomas, who had been guarding their visitor. She firmly holds the man down and introduces him to Kairos. She calls him Jacob and commands that he show respect to the Lord. Jacob, as it turns out, is the driver of the carriage Anastasia rode in during the accident. Kairos recalls hearing that Jacob once came to Granos Castle years ago to earn money. Now Kairos questions him directly, was he truly the one responsible for Anastasia's death? After relentless interrogation from Kairos, Jakob still refuses to speak, so they summon Johann. Mari didn't understand it at first, but Johann later reveals that he shares the same island roots as Jakob. When Johann introduces himself, Jakob shows immediate interest. With this, Johann begins recounting life in the castle, speaking of the Count's mother, Liu Liu, being a refugee. This makes Jakob listen intently. Finally, Johann reveals that Kairos never sought to condemn him but only wished to compensate him for Anastasia's death. Mari panics at Johann's claim, but Kairos gently holds her, signaling her to stay calm. With this, she understands that Johann had been instructed to lie so Jakob might reveal the truth. Jakob explains that Kairos was bound to marry Anastasia out of duty, yet it was Mari he truly loved. Now, Jakob is convinced that Anastasia merely stood in the way of Kairos' betrothal to Mari, so he wishes to reward him for killing her. Johann even tells him that he can be recruited to serve in the castle, finally free from scoldings during his carriage rental work. Amused, Jakob bursts into laughter while Johann excuses himself and leaves. Jakob finally begins to speak, recalling the day the store owner came rushing with excitement as the Lord's eldest daughter was engaged. The store owner ordered Jakob to prepare their finest carriage. When the Baron himself arrived, the store owner proudly presented their best vehicle, quoting the price it usually commanded. But the Baron scoffed at the cost, declaring he would only pay half. The store owner protested, explaining that at such a price, they could not provide either a suitable carriage or arrange proper lodging for Anastasia. Still, the Baron was unmoved despite it being for his own daughter's sake. Jakob remembered his boss instructing him to behave and warning him never to lay a hand on the Baron's daughter. Jakob knew that already, but he found the situation strange. Anastasia was supposed to be the well-loved daughter, yet the Baron seemed not to care about her at all. During the ride, Jakob tried speaking to Lady Anastasia about herself and her engagement, yet she never once lifted her head. She only sat silently, her gaze lowered, showing no interest. Jakob realized then that she was a girl who lived only by her parents' commands, like a doll, valued only for her beauty. That evening, they stopped by a river where Anastasia bathed. Jakob admits he did not fear she would run. Later that night, as she lay in the carriage, Jakob touched her, and though she trembled and wept quietly, she forced herself to pretend she was asleep. Then Jakob suddenly stopped the carriage despite being close to the royal capital and told her they would camp there for the night as he crept inside toward her. Anastasia tried to warn Jakob not to touch her, reminding him that she was the Count's fiancée. But Jakob insisted that no noble would honor a woman defiled by a foreigner. Before he can continue the story, Mio slams him to the ground and Jakob screams in pain until Kairos sharply calls her to stop. Seeing Mio enraged, Thomas steps forward to take her place. He presses Jakob for details about the clothes and hair they discovered on the doll at the Baron's house. Jakob admits he had stripped Anastasia's clothes himself. However, Anastasia had cut her own hair off in desperation, and he even got a scar from the scissors she used to slash them off. From Jakob's testimony, Mio assumes he must have retrieved Anastasia's clothes and hair, then sold them to Elvira, who was mourning. Jakob admits he had no plans at first, but he heard the Baroness was seeking materials to craft a doll, so he seized the opportunity. Mio adds that to conceal his crime, Jakob destroyed the carriage and created the story of a bandit attack. But Jakob defends himself, swearing Anastasia fell into the river by accident. While trying to flee, she slipped, but he never killed her. Marjorie, unable to bear another word, orders him to stop. Her voice trembles as she confronts him. After all, he is still the reason her sister died. Jakob only smirks bitterly, insisting Anastasia deserves her fate because he found out that she was carrying men's clothing in her bags. To him, this proves that she has other men besides her betrothed. His insults continue until Marjorie trembles. Enraged, Marjorie demands that Jakob stop. But Jakob only sneers and insults her as well. Before Marjorie can react, Kairos steps in and delivers a hard punch to Jakob's face, crashing him to the ground. Marjorie breaks down as the truth of her sister's suffering overwhelms her. Mio and Thomas can only watch in silence as Kairos comforts her. Through her sobs, Marjorie apologizes, blaming herself, but Kairos admits he felt guilty too for not mourning Anastasia's death. Mio quietly confesses she feels the same. They thought Anastasia mirrored the burdens their parents placed on them. But Marjorie insists that Anastasia was never cruel to her. Kairos apologizes. He had once thought her death was a twisted form of mercy. He used to think that mistakenly proposing to Anastasia was good luck, as Marjorie was spared instead. Kairos wishes to apologize at Anastasia's grave, but Marjorie reveals she didn't have one. Her father refused to waste money on a gravestone, and her funeral had been terribly plain. In the end, her name was never even carved into the cemetery. Still, Kairos insists on offering her something, asking Marjorie what flowers, foods, or places Anastasia might have loved. But Marjorie cannot name a single thing. She admits bitterly that they grew apart. While she was allowed to roam freely for being tattered and ragged, Anastasia was always forced into small dresses, made to stand in the garden for others to admire. Perhaps Marjorie thought that was why the heavens took her away. Yet despite her burdens, Anastasia was still a person, and Marjorie feels guilty for pitying her only after her death. To honor Anastasia's death, Kairos and Marjorie walk to the river and offer flowers. Kairos explains that the waterway here flows toward the artisan's quarter in the royal capital, reminding Marjorie of her sister's lifelong dream to design clothes there. Kairos agrees, saying that in such a place she would never feel lonely. They linger there quietly until a gust of wind brushes past them. And for a brief moment, Marjorie remembers Anastasia. She simply hopes her sister is in a good place. A week passes and the castle slowly returns to normal. That day, Marjorie sews gems into Kairos' hair tie. Liu Liu watches with curiosity, wondering what Kairos is doing, but he simply sits nearby with a medicine kit in hand. He isn't really doing anything, yet when Marjorie asks to use his hair, he obeys instantly like a loyal dog. Marjorie ties Kairos' hair and the two exchange compliments. Liu Liu can only admire the sight. So much has happened recently that Mari nearly forgets her gifts to the castle staff. So she distributes her presents to each of them. When Mio hesitates, Tunica lightly smacks her head, forcing her to take it like everyone else. Flustered, Mio mutters a small thank you. Mari smiles warmly in return, thanking Mio as well. Her words leave Mio red-faced. Liu remarks how everyone at the castle has changed slightly since Mari arrived. Then she surprises Mari with a gift. It's her old book of the Red Raggedy Cat, now beautifully mended. Mari is filled with joy as the book holds memories of Anastasia. Hearing her gratitude also makes Liu smile. But Liu presents another book about eminent figures from around the world. Karas specifically requested it because it contains records of Mari's grandmother, Sasha. Karas recalls how often she compared Anastasia to their grandmother, suggesting that the likeness in the photo could serve as inspiration for a portrait. Curious, Liu asks which side of the family Mari resembles. Mari answers that her height and facial features come from her mother, yet she remains the only redhead in the family. That is why her family shunned her. Red hair was believed to bring misfortune. At this, Liu fumes with indignation. Still, Mari struggles to understand why her grandmother is listed among eminent figures. She explains that Sasha was a genius who was fluent in 7 languages, played a pivotal role during the Second World War, and later revolutionized women's roles in society. Her father, however, is different. She reflects that perhaps her father and Sasha have some old discord that kept them distant. Then, Karas changes the subject, admitting he sent an invitation to the Baron regarding their betrothal, but no reply has come. Mari confesses that her parents never expected the engagement to progress. She was only offered as Anastasia's replacement, so they would not have to return the gifts. Karas, however, insists that even if that were true, he still stands to gain valuable connections from this union. Mio interrupts, insisting that perhaps Mari's role is far too important for her to be entrusted to an outsider. Mari claims she only does simple tasks passed down from her grandmother. Yet Liu thinks deeper. Mari's grandmother once worked in the previous Baron's stead and had a discord with Mari's father. In addition to that, Mari writes letters on her father's behalf, which makes Liu doubt if the Baron even understands Flareon. Mari insists her father can speak Flareon, though she admits she never heard him use it. Liu, however, seems to realize something. Karas also orders Mio to send House Shatterin a formal summons. If they fail to respond, they will be taken to the kingdom's court for trial. Mari is confused by all of this, while Karas can only apologize. 4 days later, Mari hurries to see Karas as he opens the door to receive a guest. To their shock, it's Luifan, greeting them with his usual quirkiness, only to be immediately knocked down by Mio. During the meal, they catch up warmly, and Luifan praises the food, turning to compliment Tapo. But he freezes when he notices how different he looks. Tapo has slimmed down from preparing everything for the betrothal. Though Karas tells him to take it easy, Tapo insists he only wants to give him the best. Over tea, Luifan finally reveals the reason for his visit. He shows them their engagement ring, wanting to check the sizing before the final touch. He reaches for Mari's hand, but Karas abruptly stops him, even ordering him to step outside for a while. Reluctantly, Luifan obeys, leaving them alone in the room. Karas then takes the ring himself and slips it onto Mari's finger. Yet the feeling overwhelms her. It's her very first time wearing a ring. Karas rejoices quietly, relieved that he kept Luifan from stealing this moment. Mari recalls how Karas searched for that stone just for her. The thought moves her deeply. She holds his hand and expresses her joy and gratitude. Karas, unable to hold back any longer, confesses his feelings in words and seals them with a kiss. The world feels magical until Luifan barges back in. Luifan disturbs their kiss, but they quickly compose themselves, pretending nothing happened as they admire the ring. Karas remarks on its craftsmanship, recalling an artisan named Norman, who is a renowned button maker. Norman's skill was legendary, but he had retired due to old age. To Karas' surprise, Luifan reveals that the ring was indeed made by Norman himself. He admits he personally begged him to craft it as his gift to Karas, which explains its perfection. Karas is stunned and Norman is a bit stubborn, so persuading him to work can be hard. But Luifan mentions that Norman recently took on an apprentice in the royal capital about 3 months ago. Supposedly, the apprentice came from outside the city, likely just a farmer's child. At this, Mari suddenly stiffens. Her hands tremble as she realizes that Anastasia's accident also happened 3 months ago. She also recalls the blonde figure in the royal capital who bore a resemblance to her sister. The possibility haunts her. Karas and Luifan continue talking about Norman's new apprentice, while Mari grows more curious. Wanting to know more, she listens as Luifan explains that the apprentice is a 12-year-old boy named Arthur. The thought lingers in Mari's mind, and Karas seems to understand what she is thinking. Luifan notices as well, though he believes the chances of him being Anastasia are very unlikely. With this, Mari says nothing more and quietly excuses herself. Weeks have passed since the Baron was summoned, but there is still no reply. The waiting leaves Mari with nothing else to do but focus on preparations. She spends her days attending dance lessons. She also writes letters for the guests who will be attending the betrothal ceremony. That night, exhausted from her long day, Mari finally falls asleep. When Kairos enters her room, he finds her lying with her hands and feet still dirty from her work. Concerned, he gently covers her with a blanket. The next morning, over tea, Kairos informs Mari that he has already sent a carriage to bring the Baron directly. If the Baron still refuses, Kairos may have to resort to harsher measures. Mari apologizes, admitting that if her father continues to hide, she is ready to face the consequences as his blood relative. Kairos cannot accept this, but Mari insists that someone must take responsibility for her father's actions. With this, she excuses herself and leaves for her dance practice, while Kairos remains troubled by her words. Mari practices diligently with Wolfgang, while Liu Liu oversees each step. Liu Liu proudly remarks on how quickly Mari learns, praising her effort and dedication. She notes that Mari works harder than most people, so she warns Kairos never to let Mari go. After finishing her dance with Wolfgang, Kairos steps forward and formally offers his hand, asking for a dance. She accepts, and together they move gracefully to the rhythm of the song. As they dance, Kairos notices how much Mari has improved. Mari feels proud to hear this, knowing she has practiced hard for it. Yet midway through, she suddenly stumbles. Luckily, Kairos swiftly catches her before she falls, and he immediately asks her if something is wrong. Mari insists her feet only tangled, but Kairos believes she is pushing herself too much. Kairos urges Mari to rest for a while, but she refuses. Yet the moment she steps forward again, she stumbles and nearly falls. This time, she notices how badly her feet are trembling. She insists she is fine, though Kairos can see through her words. He knows something is troubling her. Ever since their talk about Norman's apprentice, Mari has seemed unsettled. At last, Mari admits the truth about what she saw at the artisan's quarter, a blonde child who looks strikingly like her sister. Hearing this, Kairos decides they must meet Norman's apprentice, believing it is the only way to ease Mari. Sure enough, the next morning, Thomas arrives with news of Norman's arrival. Norman steps forward respectfully, greeting Kairos before lifting his face. Both Kairos and Mari are startled to see the scars across his eyes. He explains that 3 years ago, while working, shards of hot iron pierced his goggles and struck his face. Though the injury left him unable to see clearly, he can still distinguish light and dark, allowing him to continue his craft. Familiar people remain recognizable to him, but new customers are now handled by his apprentice. This opens up the conversation toward his apprentice. Norman admits he had wanted to bring him along, but explains the boy is unwell today. Immediately, Mio sends another messenger to summon him. Meanwhile, Kairos presses for more details. He brings up Luifun's words that the apprentice is a boy, but raises the question of how Norman can be sure. Norman replies firmly that the child told him so, and besides, he would never allow a woman to live under his roof. His voice grows tense. He thinks Kairos was accusing him of something malicious. With this, Kairos asks further, and Norman explains that Arthur once escaped being sold to nobles and wandered the capital without any money. Tired of exploitation, he offered himself as Norman's apprentice. When Norman recalls how Arthur talks, both Kairos and Mari feel certain Arthur cannot be Anastasia, as a noble can never speak that way. Yet when Norman casually mentions the boy's passion for craftsmaking, especially his joy in designing masculine clothes for women, Mari's eyes widen, remembering her sister's strange hobby. Norman adds that Arthur never speaks about his parents no matter how often he is asked. He only calls himself a raggedy cat. This deepens Marjorie's suspicion until her feet begin to tremble. As Norman and Kairos continue their discussion, Mari slowly steps back. The next thing Kairos knows, Mari is no longer beside him, as she is already fled. Realizing Mari is gone, Kairos immediately rushes to look for her, searching every place, but she is nowhere in sight. Anxiety grows heavier within him as he calls for her. Meanwhile, Mari is out running aimlessly. Mio quickly orders the guards to spread out and search, and soon even the castle staff joins in, confused about why she would do such a thing. Yet despite everyone's efforts, Mari still cannot be found. Just as Kairos begins to lose hope, his gaze falls on one of the nearby quarters. Something draws him closer, and with a single knock, he knows she is inside. Kairos stands outside, wondering why she is hiding inside such a room. Mari herself does not fully understand either, only sensing that the room feels safe. Perhaps it is because it is where they first kissed. Kairos wants to enter the room so badly to be with Mari, so she might calm down. But on the other side of the door, Mari struggles, her hand hovers near the handle, yet she cannot bring herself to open it. Each time she remembers her sister, who was meant to marry Kairos, she freezes. Her face twists with horror as she recalls Norman's words, which only confirmed her suspicion. Anastasia loved making clothes, and the mention of the raggedy cat proves to Mari that her sister is alive just as she thought. Because of this, Mari feels like there is no reason for her to remain anymore. Kairos argues otherwise, insisting that the love they share is real, regardless of Anastasia's existence. Yet deep within, Mari cannot accept it. To her, she will always fall short. If Kairos were to meet Anastasia, she believes he would surely think her even more wonderful. Even though Mari believes Kairos would love her sister more, Kairos does not agree at all. To him, Mari is the only one he can ever love. The tension grows heavy between them as Kairos feels hurt that Mari seems to dismiss his feelings. Overcome with guilt, Mari admits to herself that she wishes her sister were still alive. But if Anastasia were truly gone, she would be able to stay at Kairos' side. Mari hates herself for clinging to such a dream. With this thought weighing on her, she hastily calls off the betrothal and decides to return home. Though Kairos is clearly against it, he reluctantly grants her wish. That night, Mari formally thanks both Kairos and Mio for caring for her, even offering to repay all they have spent on the engagement. However, Kairos refuses. Mio also volunteers to personally escort Mari home. Then she leaves, giving the two a moment together. However, Mari says nothing to Kairos as she makes her way toward the carriage. But as she steps onto the stairs, she suddenly trips. Kairos catches her just in time, though her shoe tumbles down the steps. Holding her close, he confronts her about her decision. Yet Mari remains firm. Though Kairos can see the truth, he cannot bring himself to stop her. His eyes brim with tears as he cannot do anything about it. Quietly, Kairos retrieves the fallen shoe and slips it gently onto her foot while making a vow. If one day he finds the courage and the strength, he'll come to find her again. Until then, he can only plead for Mari to wait for him. That same night, Mari leaves the castle without saying farewell to anyone. Guilt weighs heavily on her for everyone who treated her kindly, yet she convinces herself that this is still the best decision. Then Mio suddenly speaks, expressing her disappointment to Kairos. She calls him a coward, saying that instead of choosing a bright future with Mari, he chose to make her happy only for the moment by letting her go. At that moment, Mari realizes that Kairos is afraid of hurting her. She reflects on this and understands that by not wanting to be hurt, she ended up hurting Kairos instead. By the time the sun rises, Mari looks out of the carriage window and stares at the emerald gem on her bracelet. Its sparkle reminds her of Kairos' eyes, the most beautiful she's ever seen. At that instant, everything flashes back from the moment he first confessed his feelings to every time he told her he loved her. Realizing how Kairos always showed his heart to her, Mari begins to cry. Mari realizes running away is a mistake. Kairos is her first true treasure, yet out of fear of losing him, she pretends she does not want him. Deep down, she knows the truth. She longs for him deeply. She convinces herself she is unworthy, but her love for Kairos is something she can never let go of. In that instant, Mari orders Mio to return to the castle, and without hesitation, Mio quickly turns the carriage around. They have been circling nearby all this time, so the ride back is swift. Soon, they are back at the castle gates. Mari wastes no time as she rushes through the halls, determined not to let Kairos slip away from her again. She runs straight to his room, calling his name from outside the door. There, she pours out everything her heart has held back. She confesses how deeply she wants him, not only Kairos himself, but also everything connected to him. This time, she is certain. She wants all of him for herself. Yet after saying all this, there is still no response. Then suddenly, footsteps echo from behind. She turns and sees Kairos, breathing heavily. She finds out he has been running after her all this time. Without a word, they fall into each other's arms, embracing tightly as tears stream down their faces. When Mari returns to the castle, everyone rushes to greet her. Cicely runs forward first, throwing her arms around her. The others follow, welcoming her with smiles and laughter as Mari apologizes for the worry she caused. Tapo presents her with an apple pie as a welcome gift, making lighthearted jokes that ease the mood. Liu also gently reminds Mari not to run away again, saying it is the first time Kairos has ever truly fallen in love. Mari knows she no longer wants to run. In this castle, she has found where she belongs, and with Kairos, she will live happily from now on. That night, Mari wakes beside Kairos. She rises quietly, but his hands immediately search the sheets for her in his sleep, so she gently takes hold of them. She admires his peaceful face until a sudden knock at the door interrupts her thoughts. It is Mio, informing her that a bath has been prepared if she would like. With this, Mari heads to the bathing room and afterward returns to her quarters. Her mind drifts to Kairos as she walks, but unbeknownst to her, a shadow lurks just behind her. Before she can react, an arm seizes her from behind. A weapon presses against her neck, and a voice warns her not to move. The stranger demands to know where Mari Shatterton's room is. Mari freezes in shock, but before she can answer, Kairos rushes in. The stranger spits insult at him, but Kairos holds his ground and lights a lamp to his face. As the glow reveals the intruder's face, Mari knows instantly. The stranger before them is her sister, Anastasia. Mio arrives just in time to witness the stranger they captured revealed as Anastasia. Karos hesitates to believe it, but Mari confirms that despite the changes in clothing and hair, she's indeed her sister. Upon hearing Mari's voice, Anastasia finally realizes it's her. Mari steps forward to greet her, but Anastasia turns her attention to Karos. Without hesitation, he orders Mari's release from the betrothal. Anastasia, assuming Karos only intends to marry Mari for noble heirs, offers herself instead. Both Mari and Karos are stunned by the offer, but when asked if it's because she has feelings for Karos, Anastasia immediately denies it, believing he is the type of man who tries to buy women. Changing the subject, Mio asks why Anastasia waited until now to reveal herself. She hesitates and Karos intervenes, suggesting she stay at the castle while he writes to Norman. Anastasia appears reluctant because of her appearance, but Mari reassures her gently. With that, Mari brings her to the bathhouse, where Tunica takes care of her. Now she's sparkling clean and Mari is delighted to see her. After that, Mari brings her sister to her room and she's surprised to see her having such a place. Mari suggests Anastasia sleep first and they can talk in the morning, but Anastasia insists. Anastasia feels the need to explain everything to Mari, especially because she thinks she failed to protect her. She begins to apologize and tell her story. When Mari got a fever, their grandma Sasha scolded Anastasia. That night, Anastasia had watched as Sasha wrote letters. She had been amazed by how Sasha wrote in so many languages. She noticed that the name written on the papers was their father's, and she wondered why Sasha was the one signing them. Sasha had simply said that there are just some people suited for things that others aren't. Anastasia found it true, comparing herself to Mari, who was far smarter than she was. But then Sasha comforted her, saying she had the gift of craftsmanship, an ability that wouldn't shine through academics alone. Anastasia felt happy to hear this. Sasha then explained that even her father, Gregor, though often seemed harsh, had a gift for music. In fact, that could have been his path. However, Sasha didn't finish her sentence. She suddenly coughed up blood and Anastasia panicked, rushing to find her parents for help. But Sasha stopped her, believing it was already too late. She pulled Anastasia close and reminded her that even though women in her time didn't have the right to be free, she believed that in Anastasia's era, they finally would. She wanted both Anastasia and Mari to use their gifts in a way that would bring them joy. That became her only wish before she passed. After Sasha's death, Gregor nearly lost his mind, fearing what would happen to them now. In a panic, he frantically asked Mari how much she had learned from Sasha, though at the time, Mari only had a little knowledge of it. Elvira, still in tears, believed it was Mari who brought misfortune upon Sasha, ultimately blaming her for her death. Anastasia knew deep down that it wasn't Mari's fault, but their mother saw her differently ever since that day. As days passed, Gregor suggested that Mari go to school. He explained that they taught all kinds of foreign languages there. He knew Mari wanted to study, even though she refused, knowing it would cost them a fortune. But Gregor insisted there was no need to worry about money. Still, Mari knew the truth. They hadn't paid their workers in quite some time. Gregor used his authority as Mari's father, forcing her to enroll in school because she was unendearing and lacked charm. The words struck deeply in Mari's mind. Her father kept letting go of cruel remarks, convincing her that she wouldn't survive anywhere else, so she must study to be of use to him at least. Just then, Anastasia barged in to interrupt, but Elvira pulled her aside, telling her that everything their father said was true. Gregor compared Mari to her sister, claiming Anastasia was far more beautiful. Since Mari's studies would cost money, he suggested they dismiss the maids and she could take over the housework instead. Her dresses would also be sold to cover her tuition. Mari couldn't do anything but obey. After all, he was her father, and she truly believed that this was the only way she could be useful. That was the day Mari's life changed forever. From dawn until night, she was forced to work, and in the blink of an eye, she became tattered and ragged. She asked her mother why they treated her that way, but Elvira insisted Mari was cursed, blaming her for Sasha's death. Anastasia could not understand this, but Elvira dismissed her questions, caring only for her beauty. To her, Anastasia was little more than a doll. Sometimes she seemed to forget Anastasia was her own person. Unlike Mari, who despite her ragged state, saw the world outside, Anastasia felt like a doll trapped within the house. Before long, Gregor began planning Anastasia's marriage, yet he grew frustrated when no noble suitors came forward. Anastasia wondered if Mari might marry one day too, but Gregor dismissed the idea. Mari, he claimed, could never be like Anastasia, who was beautiful. As the noble's daughter, it was Anastasia's burden to secure the family's future through marriage. However, Anastasia had other plans in mind. She found interest in sewing manly clothes for women. The only thing she wanted was to open a shop in the capital one day, but it seemed impossible under the control of her possessive parents. When tragedy struck during her travel to the castle, Anastasia ran off. While trying to find a way out, she saw a swollen river, so she used all her strength to drop a large stone into it, fooling Yakub into believing that she had fallen into the water. When she realized her plan had worked, she ran as fast as she could until she reached a house. She collapsed in exhaustion at its front steps, and while staring at the moon, she decided to change her identity completely. That night, she chose to let everyone believe that she had fallen into the river and died. Thinking about this, she laughed uncontrollably, surprised at how happy she felt. Then a man appeared from inside the house. It was Norman. Seeing the condition of his eyes, Anastasia seized the chance to pretend to be someone else. When Norman confronted her, she tried to introduce herself but quickly changed her voice and manner of speaking, posing as a boy named Arthur. Norman sensed the fighting spirit in her voice, so he asked why she was there. Anastasia made up a story, shaping it so she would appear pitiful in Norman's eyes. Norman told her she could stay with him for a while, and so she did. However, she discovered dresses displayed in Norman's home, which made her wonder if he was making clothes. When Norman admitted that he had been a button artist, but had recently retired, Anastasia instantly volunteered to become his apprentice. Norman was confused as to why she wished to become his apprentice, so Anastasia showed him the suit she had made. Norman examined it, stunned, though he quickly noticed the garment was far too short to be a man's clothing. Anastasia explained it was meant for women, as she loved designing men's clothes tailored for women to wear. She added that she could make ordinary clothes as well and confessed that her greatest dream was to open a shop in the capital. Norman, however, refused her request. Anastasia pressed on, insisting she had nowhere else to go and wanted to be reborn in the capital to begin a new life. Hearing her determination, Norman reluctantly agreed. From that day on, each moment felt like a dream for Anastasia. She worked under Norman's guidance. Then one afternoon, Louis arrived carrying a large jewel. He expressed concern about the paperwork required, but Norman calmly explained that he had an apprentice who could handle it. That made Anastasia delighted, as he had openly acknowledged her as his apprentice. Norman later explained to Anastasia that the gem was a national treasure, and since she was still learning, he suggested she examine it as well. Overjoyed, she looks at it, but when Norman mentioned that the bride's hair had the same color as the gem, and that she was actually the younger sister of the Count's fiancé, she leaned closer to the paperwork, and written clearly was Marie's name. Anastasia blamed herself, convinced her sister was trapped in a fate she never chose because of her. Fear gnawed at her, and nightmares haunted her sleep, jolting her awake. The next morning, Norman received an invitation to Granados Castle. Though the Count requested his apprentice, Anastasia faked her sickness so she would not have to go. So Norman departed alone while she sat frozen, unable to decide what to do. At that moment, all she wanted was to protect Marie because she wanted her to follow her own path in life. With that, she came to a decision. Anastasia immediately rushed into a carriage on the way to the castle, and that was when their encounter happened. Now in the present, Anastasia's eyes fill with tears as she tells the story. From this moment on, she vows to protect Marie at all costs. However, their conversation is cut short when Kairos and Mio enter the room to check on them. To their surprise, Anastasia seems to be barricading Marie from Kairos. And though Marie is touched that her sister is looking out for her, she leans closer to Kairos and declares that their love for each other is true. Anastasia is shocked to hear it, and even Mio looks confused by the love-driven expression on Kairos' face. Still, Anastasia remains reluctant, believing Kairos is only deceiving her. At that moment, Kairos fires back, and they exchange arguments against each other. With sincerity, Kairos declares his love in detail for Marie, going as far as to describe the things he does whenever he thinks of her. So Mio steps in and stops him before he leaves everyone horrified. With that, Kairos composes himself and admits the mistake he made in the letter he sent. He then gently explains his love for Marie in a more formal way, and this time his sincerity softens Anastasia's expression. Seeing how deeply in love the two are, Anastasia finally allows Kairos to be with her sister, but warns that she will steal Marie away if he fails to take responsibility for his words. Kairos swears by his promise, and with that, the sisters share a tearful reunion. Anastasia feels genuine happiness seeing Marie loved in the castle. She realizes her sister has finally found a place where she belongs, and the little girl she thought needed saving no longer needs it. The next morning, Marie requests to see everyone at the castle. She wants to make an immediate announcement, with Anastasia present to hear as well. It concerns their father's crimes. Marie recalls all the letters she and Sasha once wrote under their father's name, and Anastasia remembers them too. After hearing Anastasia's story the night before, Marie confirms that their father never truly understood Flareon. Because all official documents and papers are written in Flareon, managing the people properly would be impossible without it. Unlike in the past, when Sasha was still alive, their father no longer reported this to the kingdom. Instead, he relied on Marie to write on his behalf. In doing so, their father committed both forgery and abandonment of his duties as lord. Liu confirms it, saying this is a grave crime. Kairos points out that Gregor tried to hide his incompetence by trapping Mari into believing she was inferior. Mari never knew the castle's rules regarding such matters, but even if she had, they knew she had no choice. Regardless, she will bear no responsibility for her father's actions as the castle vows to protect her. Now the decision rests in Mari's hands. She thinks deeply. All this time she has run away, afraid others might feel unhappy, but she can no longer pretend. She decides to see the situation with her own eyes before making her final verdict. She even jokes about walloping her parents, which makes Liu laugh and remark on how strong she has become. Together, they are now ready to set off toward House Shadowrun. Mari and the other castle members head toward House Shadowrun with Luifan driving the carriage. To face the truth, Mari insists on seeing her parents. Thomas goes first, pleading with Tanya to let them in. However, Tanya refuses to allow them entry. Seeing Tanya's resistance, Kairos turns to Mari and asks if she is truly certain about her decision. Mari nods firmly. With no choice left, Kairos signals Luifan to proceed. At once, Luifan drives the carriage forward, carrying a large iron ram to break through the gate. The metal crashes through the entrance, wide open. Now parked outside the mansion, Kairos scans the area and notices a figure peeking from a window. Without hesitation, he orders Mio to retrieve him. With this, Mio climbs the concrete walls with ease. Moments later, desperate screams echo before Mio emerges, dragging Gregor and restraints and presenting him before Kairos. Gregor is completely baffled as to why he has been captured. Kairos calmly explains that he only needs to talk with him about something important. At the same time, Thomas arrives with Elvira and Cedric. With everything in place, Mari steps down from the carriage to finally face her family. She greets her parents, leaving them stunned by her sudden return. Cedric, overwhelmed, immediately rushes forward to embrace her tightly. Meanwhile, Anastasia, disguised beneath a red wig, keeps her distance. Luifan finds it absurd that none of her family can recognize her, but Anastasia recalls that even he thought she was a guy when he first met her at Norman's. Gregor bursts out in anger, but Mari calmly explains that he never replied to the Count's letters, so they came in person to seek their parents' approval for their betrothal. To prove this, Kairos hands over a stack of papers where he had written everything he loved about Mari. Mari then invites her parents for a proper conversation, and they all move toward the hall, leaving Cedric alone with Thomas outside. Cedric fears what might happen to his parents, but Thomas reassures him, telling him to trust his sister. As they walk, Mari can't help but notice that no one has realized Anastasia's disguise. Suddenly, Elvira pretends to faint, overcome by everything that has happened. With this, Anastasia instinctively reaches forward to check on her mother, but she is met with a terrified scream. Elvira mistakes her for a lowly maid cursed with the same red hair as Mari. Kairos dismisses Elvira's words as nothing more than superstition, but Elvira insists. She claims both Sasha and Anastasia died because of Mari, lamenting that they were far more beautiful and worthy, yet Mari is the only one left. As she speaks, Mari notices something unusual about her mother's hair. Yet when she tries to approach, Elvira scolds her harshly and storms off. In the hall, Gregor is finally freed from his restraints, but he immediately acts defiant, mocking Kara's heritage and refusing to speak with him. When he tries to walk away, Mari steps in to block his path. Gregor scolds her for disrespecting him as both her father and the lord of the land, only to be met with Kairos and mocking words. At that moment, Luifan presents a formal written order stripping Gregor of his position. Kairos points out that Gregor cannot even speak Flarian, the official language required of any ruling lord. Though Gregor tries to deny it, he fails to form even one proper sentence using the language. Luifan then reveals their investigation, exposing how Gregor exploited Mari in land operations after Sasha's death. With this, they declare him unfit to rule. Because of his crimes, Gregor must now face punishment. Breaking down, he collapses to his knees, realizing he will lose everything. Mari, however, offers him a path to avoid the worst. While the castle will seize control of the lands, he may retain his title and residence. Skilled personnel will also be dispatched to oversee the territory. Yet Mari adds one condition: he must apologize to her. The council concludes that for brainwashing Mari and forcing her into labor for his own benefit, Gregor will be granted assistance only if he apologizes. Mari presses for his answer, but Gregor still refuses. To him, it is only natural that she worked for him, for in his eyes, she has always been good for nothing. Kairos grows enraged and steps forward to lecture Gregor. Gratitude and humility, he explains, are the true marks of a lord. While Gregor may have relied on Mari's help, he should have acknowledged her efforts instead of lying. Had he shown gratitude, there would be no shame or crime. Instead, blinded by pride, he chose deception. Kairos even adds that Sasha would have wished to see him grow. These words strike a nerve. Gregor snaps, grabbing Kairos by the collar. In his outburst, he admits he always believed Sasha had expected nothing from him. That's when Kairos realizes that Gregor wanted nothing but for Sasha to have high hopes for him. Confronted with this, Gregor finally breaks down, stepping back as tears flow uncontrollably. Seeing her husband, Elvira lashes out again at Mari, accusing her of bringing misfortune upon them. She invokes Sasha and Anastasia's deaths once more. Unable to endure it, Anastasia finally rips off her wig and steps toward her mother. Anastasia tells her mother not to blame Mari, but Elvira refuses to listen. Instead, she pulls Anastasia into a tight embrace. Yet Anastasia sees the truth. Her mother only cares about her blonde hair. Anastasia grows disgusted and shoves her away. Elvira stumbles to the ground and everyone gasps as her hair slips off. They soon realize it was only a wig. Beneath it lies the same red hair as Mari's. Elvira panics at being exposed, though Gregor's silence suggests he already knew. Still, she redirects her fury at Mari, insisting she should never find happiness. In that moment, Mari finally understands. Her mother always longed to be blonde and envied Sasha and Anastasia, who inherited it. But because Mari shared the same red hair as her, Elvira condemned her to suffer as well. Living under her mother's lies made Mari despise herself as well, but after meeting Kairos and the others at the castle, she finally discovers her true worth. With this, she turns to Kairos and Mio, thanking them with all her heart for accepting her as she is. Mari declares her wish to walk down the aisle as Kairos' bride, deciding once and for all to break free from her mother's control. Hopeless and desperate, Elvira turns to Anastasia, believing she will understand. But Anastasia refuses, saying she will no longer be her mother's doll. Hearing this, Elvira collapses in despair, sobbing from both sadness and anger. In the end, Granada's castle assumes control over Shadowrun's lands. Cedric is sent to study at the capital, preparing to inherit the lordship. Gregor attends classes alongside him, with the chance of serving as Cedric's valet and returning to their lands if he graduates on time. Yet the path ahead promises nothing but difficulty. Over tea, Lulu observes that despite everything, Gregor is still working very hard in school. Kairos explains that it is because Gregor discovered Sasha's old journals. Reading those words must have struck him deeply, motivating him to study earnestly. Elvira, meanwhile, is exempted from all charges pressed against Gregor, leaving her free but trapped in the haunting silence of a large, empty house. Elsewhere, Anastasia stands before Norman's door, hesitant to knock. Luifa, noticing her unease, teases her by suggesting she sneak in through the window instead, sparking a playful argument between the two. But Anastasia's hesitation comes from guilt as she lied to Norman about her identity. Though she still wishes to work with him, part of her fears that it is selfish to return. With this, Luifan reminds her of the sacrifices she made just to pursue what she truly loves. With a firm push, he forces her through the doorway, leaving Anastasia no choice but to face Norman after so long. Upon entering, Anastasia tries to explain herself, but Kairos has already explained everything to him. Guilt weighs heavily on her, yet Norman calmly places a set of tools in front of her, and he explains that he changed each tool to fit her hands. If only she had told him sooner. Faced with this quiet acceptance, Anastasia can no longer hold back her tears. She embraces Norman tightly, apologizing and thanking him for everything. Watching from the window, Luifan smiles at the sight, satisfied with the outcome, and decides to leave them in peace. Days pass and the height of summer arrives. At the Granos castle, everyone gathers to witness the long-awaited betrothal of Mari and Kairos. Kairos takes Mari's hand and slips the ring onto her finger. At that moment, she officially becomes the future bride of the man she truly loves. The crowd erupts in cheers as they celebrate the union unfolding before their eyes. As the ceremony continues, guests enjoy the feast prepared in their honor. The food receives endless compliments, much to Tapo's pride. He eagerly introduces his signature dishes and encourages everyone to try his special apple pie. Meanwhile, Tunica ensures the guests feel cared for by styling their hair with a few quick, graceful motions of her fingers. Elsewhere, several noblemen take an interest in the lush plants decorating the grounds. Pleased, Johan happily shares his knowledge and even presents them with a basket of fresh produce from the castle gardens. When the time for the dance arrives, Kairos and Mari move gracefully in rhythm with the music. Watching them, Cicely can't help but admire Mari, secretly wishing someone would ask her for a dance as well. To her surprise, Cedric suddenly approaches and politely extends his hand. Delighted, Cicely accepts and together they join the floor, dancing with joy. Nearby, Wolfgang remarks to Thomas how much he has looked forward to this day. Thomas, however, is far more emotional, already crying tears of happiness as he watches Mari and Kairos together. Anastasia also admires her sister's beauty, though Luifan, appearing out of nowhere, insists she is just as beautiful. His sudden interruption annoys her, but her sharp tongue only amuses him further. Intrigued, Luifan boldly asks if she would like to become his wife. Anastasia instantly sees through his teasing and refuses to take him seriously. Unfazed, Louis laughs and admits he already has 5 fiancés he has never even met. Exasperated, Anastasia smacks him on the head, not caring that he is a prince. Liu, watching the scene unfold, can hardly believe Kiros is truly getting married. Mio insists it's because she raised him well, but Liu quickly returns the compliment, saying it was Mio who stayed by their side and supported them both. She thanks her sincerely for it. Mio admits their love is still developing and that Kiros is acting like someone at the peak of puberty. Still, she admits they will surely have a bright future ahead, and the smiling faces of everyone around them seem to recognize it. Later that night, Mari stands outside, lost in thought. Kiros quietly approaches and asks what's troubling her, but she is simply reflecting on everything they have endured together. Kiros admits that his whole world changed the day she appeared, that she is the only one he ever truly wanted. Mari shares the same sentiment, confessing that from the moment she first saw him, it felt like her closed-off world finally began to shine. They share a tender moment, recalling their journey, and lean closer as if to seal it with a kiss, only for a sudden explosion to interrupt. When they look, it turns out to be fireworks. Bright and colorful explosions light up the night sky, dazzling everyone in the castle. Kiros and Mari watch in awe. Then Kiros sweeps Mari into his arms, carrying her in a bridal embrace. Pressing a kiss to her lips, Mari makes a silent vow to always seek happiness as long as they are together. Thanks for watching. This marks the end of the season. Don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed it.